bitch. Diamonds on my neck, my wrist fighting in this bitch. Who brought the thunder and the lightning in this bitch? Chopper turn the Mike Tyson in this bitch. These niggas giving all the apologies and shit. My niggas in here breaking all the policies and shit. We look like we won a lottery and shit. Are you looking for your girl? She here swallowing dick. Diamonds on my neck, it's a blizzard, it's a snowstorm. Heard about a body, hell no, I don't know nothing. You know I keep it player, I'ma go and fly private. Been riding for a while, can you please look on my private? We been speeding down the highways, Lamborghinis in the driveway. My neck is a ice tray. Baby, it's my way or the highway. You know what the fuck going on, nigga? Yeah. Lamborghinis in the driveway. We did it my way. Bitch, I'm in the hills. I ain't worried about no drive-bys. Stop playing, bitch. You know you work at Five Guys. Caught him on his work breaking, shot him in his right eye. In sync, I had to give him 3 bye-byes. I was in the coupe, wrist dancing, listening to Ron Isley. Money, Mitch, I'm paid in full, bitch. I'm a Kai Pfeiffer. The county jail, 8-man cell, joking with 9 lifers. Diamonds on my neck, it's a blizzard, it's a snowstorm. Heard about a body, hell no, I don't know nothing. You know I keep it player, I'ma go and fly private. Been riding for a while, can you please look on my private? We been speeding down the highways, Lamborghinis in the driveway. My neck is a ice tray. Baby, it's my way or the highway. It's my way or the highway, bitch, and I got on the ice tray. Since you know what the fuck going on here. 350 on in the booth. We ain't 40 bands on the table, we just doing what the fuck we want on here. It's a blizzard, it's a snowstorm. Hell no, I don't know nothing. Yeah, you know the truth. You know the truth.
Smooth, what's good, baby?
Anyway, I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't know why you not. Made the crowd scram, run them own guns. I bitch you red, bro, you down. He was supposed to be with Caesar Matthews, he's a 9. How you let the stinks take your pieces from me? Turn a nigga head into a Reese's cup. You wasn't on the main line, you was PC'd up. We got Draco in the building, turn to Stevie Wonder. Now we back to the punchline. I'm finna do a nigga sleazy like that one time. I got a free bus pass, he on that one line. I turn my wrist handicap like that blind nigga. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it.
I'm a big dog, I don't conversate with poodles. I make street music you can commit violent crimes too. If we beefing, I use chunks from your noodles to make spaghetti. Throwing house party when you hear them pop shots, it's not confetti. That shit under meniscus, I can eyeball it, no fatty. For a nickel, my shooter ain't a nigga world Armageddon. I want more chains to whip like my shit ain't broke already. And I don't wanna hit that crystal cause I'm dope already. Things came to take the rack, ain't over and I hope y'all ready. Bitch act stupid, I fuck your mama, bitch, you know I'm petty. Nigga think he fucking with me, must be blowed off fatty. This exotic stinky buzz, we don't smoke that Reggie.
I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got the suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I'm coming several losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts in the down, don't make me lose it.
We Japanese still. You getting cooked in front of your family like a Japanese meal. It's y'all shoot the hibachi and none of you niggas can stop me, but can't help but watch me. We back again, refuting racist, Afro centrist, BHI, etc. We had to do a follow up and go back and show what this sister was spreading on Facebook, dealing with the topic of the origin of white people. So we got the savant from Levant in the building, and we're gonna be dealing with this sister and Yakub, the big head scientist theory. Go ahead, brother. Take it away.
Hey, shalom, shalom. It's good to be back. So yeah, the other day, I played some of this clip, and even before that, I think actually no, that was the same day I was on Facebook and I was just scrolling through, watching funny videos and stuff, and I came across that video, and I was listening to it. I didn't even finish the whole video that day, when I saw it, and I was like, yeah, this ain't good. This got to be addressed because a lot of people seem to agree with her and believe that white folks came into existence from alchemy black scientists 6,000 years ago. And I'm like, this is some really weird pseudo stuff. So I felt like kind of showing that video, and we did the other night. And now we're back and we're going to play the whole video, and we're going to kind of address the statements and explain the true origins, I guess you can say, of white people or Western Europeans, or people who descend from Yamnaya cultures and stuff like that. We're going to address all that, the actual origins of Europeans, because also on Berean's show, and I don't think y'all managed to see it because that video I was on Berean went 12 hours, so I think it went past the part. But there was a person who was talking about the origins of Europeans or white people, and they were saying that white people are Europeans. I might try to find that clip. Said that they weren't originally in Europe, and that they're a new, I guess, race or species of people. I'll see if I can find it. But this seems to be a prevalent view among, whether it's Black Hebrew Israelites, because I was speaking to a Black Hebrew Israelite on Brian's show, or whether it's people like the Nation of Islam, like the Yakubian lady we're about to watch. So yeah, this is a view that I notice among, I guess you can say, Black people, that believe white folks are kind of like a new race or species of people. So we're going to address her statements, and we're going to kind of break down the origin of white people, I guess. Anything you got before we play this clip? You shoot.
Nothing, man. All I gotta say is that Agent Yashu reporting in for duty.
Yeah, this is gonna be a hot check. With this one, we should get $100,000. I mean, yeah. It's time to awaken the people.
I'm getting all my incentives.
All right, here we go. And like I said, my computer's real loud, so if y'all hear anything, it's my fan, because I'm doing a lot of stuff at the moment. Currently downloading a Exodus video, so be ready for that. Exodus series should come out in the month of April, and I'll talk more about that when the show begins to end. But if it's too loud, I might flip to your YouTube screen. So here, let's get started.
Since the beginning of time, the black man and black woman inhabited the earth. There was no such thing as different races.
And by the way, you shoot whenever you want. Just tell me to pause it if you want to address something right then and there.
Yeah, can I say something right there? Because it's so paradoxical the way she starts this out. In the beginning, there was no such thing as races. Yeah, of course there wasn't. But then she begins to go with a racial ideology where she's saying, well, what she means is there was only a black race, and then Yakub, the big head giant, big head scientist, came in and had this recipe, on some Powerpuff Girl stuff, sugar, spice, and everything nice. But Yakub, the big head scientist, accidentally put another component into the mix. Chemical X. Thus, the white man was born. That's what she's about to do here, man. She opens up with a correct statement with a false premise. if you understand that back then in those ancient times, this modern confabulation, a concept known as race and racial groups didn't exist, why then proceed to make an 8-minute video with this Yakub nonsense? But go ahead, brother.
Since the beginning of time, the black man and black woman inhabited the earth. There was no such thing as different races. There were only original black people with shades ranging from a black hue to a brown hue. It wasn't until 6,000.
So I guess we can kind of pause right here and address different points, or we can address all the points at the end. I don't know if I remember everything, but just to address her point right here, 6,000 years ago, everything before 6,000 or 5,000 or 7,000 years ago, all humans were dark skinned. With that being said, that's not saying that all humans on the planet were Nigerian or Kenyan or Cameroonian. They were dark skinned, but they all had their own specific haplogroups, like haplogroup R, G, I, J, E, D. All these people would have had dark skin 50,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago. They all would have had dark skin. But they wouldn't have been black in the sense of someone who is a Yoruba man. They're not all African, all these dark-skinned people all over the planet. They have their own different genomes, their own specific autosomal genomes, their own specific haplogroups, like I said earlier. So don't think of like all of these dark-skinned people over the planet as the same as like an entire Niger-Congo planet or something, an entire Nigerian world. It's not like that. They weren't black people. Yeah, go ahead, you shoot.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna land me back on what you were saying. Like this is a motif that's widespread in the community, whether it's Afrocentric BHIs, abos. What they will do is they'll see brown skinned people depicted on murals or statuettes or whatnot, frescoes, and what they would do is automatically assume that all these people have to be Africoid or sub-Saharan African or West African descent or looking or something to that effect. That they do this a lot with the Melanesians. They do it with the ancient Sunderland people, which were darker people or brown skinned people, but that does not necessarily mean that they're close kin to West Africans. We have to remember something here. The further you go back in time, the more pigmented people are, more melanated they are, the more brown they are. The further you go back in time, that's all people. No, that does not mean Yakub, the big head scientist, had the Powerpuff Girl mixture with Chemical X and created white people. No, that does not mean that Nordic angels, like Ron Dalton Jr. says, came down and had sex with pygmies to create white people and Chinese people. It does not mean that. We are all Homo sapiens sapiens. We are all humans. We all share the same common male ancestor and common female ancestor. And there's nothing alien or out of this world with us. We are completely human, whether you're white, whether you're Chinese, whether you're African, whether you're Melanesian, Native American, First Nation, or what have you, right? And the brothers got Cheddar Man on the page. This is what the early Europeans would have looked like. This is an ancestor of Europeans. I believe he was haplogroup I, 10,000-year-old man. So during his time as a European Western hunter-gatherer, there would not have been pale-skinned people, right? He is the ancestor of who you would call lighter skin or white. He's the ancestor. They did not come from aliens, Who made that movie Alien? I keep trying to think of his name.
It's a famous director. It might be Ridley Scott, I believe.
Ridley Scott. They did not come from a Ridley Scott script, okay? White people do not originate from a Ridley Scott script, okay? They're not aliens. They're human
Here's the
beings,
genetic component.
Homo sapiens sapiens.
This is the genetic component of Chatterman. He had Y DNA haplogroup I, and he had mitochondrial DNA U. These are typical Eurasian markers. and he was 65% Western European, Western European Mesolithic hunter-gatherer. That's his autosomal DNA. It was 65%, and then the other would have been like some other type of Eurasian DNA, probably Eastern European. So yeah, he's genetically nothing like us, but he's dark skinned from 10,000 years ago. So just want to address that. Was there anything else?
That article said extant people in British still have that haplogroup. So those white people over there in Britain are the ancestor, or they are the progeny of Cheddar Man's people. They are the progeny, even though they look quote unquote white, have a different physical appearance and different phenotype. They are the product of Cheddar Man's peoples. All right.
Exactly. So let's go back to the video. Give me a second. All right, there we go.
600 years ago, that a scientist born in Arabia by the name of Yaqub had a determined idea to make a people who were completely unlike the original people. He planned to achieve this through a form of eugenics and selective mating called grafting. Yaqub learned through his studies that there were two germs in the black man. A germ is a portion of an organism capable of developing into a new one or part of one.
All right, so I guess we can address this next part. When it comes to the origin of light skin or white skin, it's not from germs. And when it comes to we can just look up the definition of germ. So let's just quickly do a quick Google search of germ, because her definition is kind of off. So a germ is a microorganism, usually one which causes diseases. Light skin or white skin is not a disease. It's an allele. And I actually could pull up a video dealing with alleles, but I won't. I'll try to find the light skin allele really quick.
Yeah, she's addressing the second portion of that definition. A portion of an organism capable of developing into a new one or part of one. So that's what she's trying to allude to. But the problem with that is you have germ cells and you have somatic cells, and germ cells are usually associated with what? Sex cells. So when you're dealing with like sex cells, that's where we get our Y chromosomes and our mitochondrial DNA from. And you get your skin color, like what he's showing, your alleles from all the rest of them. Those are somatic cells. Somatic cells deal with the body. So deal with your kidneys, your organs, your skin, your pigmentation. You get that from somatic cells. But go ahead, brother.
Yeah, if y'all want to look up the specific allele that lighter skinned people on the earth have, it's called SLC 2485, and that's the allele that create the light skin pigmentation in Western Europe, or Western Eurasia, should I say, as well as in other parts of the world. So it's not a germ, it's an allele. So let's get back to the video. Let me have to go back and forth in the StreamYard. So, all right, there we go.
Found a black germ and a brown germ. He concluded that if he were to isolate the brown germ and graft it all the way down to its most recessive traits, he could produce opposite of black, white. Once he finalized his hypothesis, he had to go to work on finding the necessary converts to begin grafting his new race of people. He began teaching to crowds all over Mecca, Arabia, promising people luxury and telling people that he would make others work for them. Yaqub managed to get 59,999 converts to his mission, and he was the 60,000th person. He wasn't allowed to do his grafting in Arabia, so their ship sailed out to an island in the Aegean Sea called Pilan. In the Bible, it's called Patmos. He established a system of policies, procedures, and laborers. His laborers consisted of doctors, ministers, nurses, and cremators. Yaqub passed away at the age of 150 years old. However, this genetic engineering continued long after he passed by his leaving literature for the future laborers. For the grafting process, they used positive assortative mating and negative assortative mating. Positive assortative mating is when you mate phenotypically similar people together. So they were allowed to mate brown with brown skin tones. Now, negative assortative mating is when you mate phenotypically different people together. So they were allowed to mate black with brown skin tones. However, they were not allowed to mate black with black skin tones. It took a total of 600 years to produce his final man. The first 200 years, the people as a collective produced brown man.
Now, this part here doesn't really make sense to me because she's saying that Yaqub, that one, the whole world was nothing but black people. And then Yaqub takes some ships and they go to the island of Patmos. And again, the world is nothing but black people. So if black people are mixing with black people, then I don't get how you're going to have brown. And I know she says that there's brown people too, but even if you get brown and black to mix together, that's not going to like downgrade to another skin tone. Like you're not going to get a black and a brown person to make a yellow skin tone, which is what she's about to say. That you get what I mean? You should.
Yeah, man, this is all just idiocy from when she said hello. You know, from the beginning. It's just so weird. She said he got two germs. Again, germ cells are sex cells, they're sperm and eggs. That's what germs are. When you're using it in a biological sense, you know. And she said that was a germ for white and a germ. No, there's no such thing as that. Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? So I'm still stuck on that. If anybody understands that. And then this, that was brown people, just brown people mixing, and black people mixing. Well, the whole earth, again, she doesn't understand the whole earth would have been inundated with black people. That does not mean that because now we start seeing white people or people with a lighter complexion come into the mix, that it's alien or someone invented it or created some little voodoo magic pot and, you know, put some chicken bones in there like Miss Cleo and shook them up and created white people. Like that's a far, like you're leaping too far, you know. Go ahead, brother. This is hold on before you start that again, man. I'm sorry, sister, but I gotta do you like this, man. I gotta do you like this.
This nigga was clearly lying.
Go ahead, brother.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches were the people who migrated to what we now call Japan or the Japanese. The next 200 years, they produced the yellow man to mate black with black skin tones. It took a total of 600 years to produce his final man. The first 200 years, the people as a collective produced the brown man, which the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches were the people who migrated to what we now call Japan or the Japanese. The next 200 years, they produced the yellow man, or those who migrated and settled in China.
And this is why understanding haplogroups is extremely important. So she's saying that Yaqub and them, I think 6,000 years ago, got black people to mix with black people, which somehow made brown skin Japanese. Well, if you study haplogroups, Japanese people typically carry haplogroup D, which is older than 6,000 years, by the way. And then she says that the brown people somehow created Chinese people. And Chinese people typically have haplogroup O. Let me just see if I can pull up a chart really quick. And again, she's saying all this would have happened about 6,000 years ago, I believe. And these haplogroups are far older than 6,000 years. Is there anything you want to add to that while I pull up, I guess, the phylogenetic tree?
I just want to say that this colorism stuff has made the community childish, very childlike. Listen to her vernacular and some of the language she's choosing to use to depict this. Oh, they went to China, created the yellow people. They went to Japan and created the other yellow people. And then the brown people went to, like, it is so childish going off of skin color and trying to, you know, paint broad brush swaths of people, and as if each color represents a separate creation event or some sort. It's just so weird. That is not how phylogeny works. That is not how our family tree works at all. So,
and I'm just going to use Wikipedia really quick. I know we don't using it. Switch to something else though, if y'all want something more on the academic side. But I just want to show really quick that when it comes to Japanese people, they typically descend from haplogroup D. And technically speaking, the ethnic group Japanese, like, didn't even exist around the time when D formed, because these ethnicities are kind of more recent. But when it comes to Chinese people, they typically have haplogroup O. And just push it. As you can see right here, haplogroup O is typically in East Asia. And she's in the video, she's basically trying to claim that all these ethnic groups sprung about from the Mediterranean on Patmos about 6,000 years ago, even though haplogroups such as O dates back at least to like 41,000 years ago, or 44,000 to 38,000 years ago. But yeah, understanding the haplogroups and stuff kind of puts a different perspective when it comes to like race or ethnicities. Let's get back to the video. Chinese people don't come from Japanese people, because that's what she's trying to imply. Since Japanese are a little bit darker, they apparently the Chinese come from them, but completely different.
yeah, that's just silly. Chinese people are primarily haplogroup O. You do see O in Japan, but you also see D, and D is our brother Clade. So the D haplogroup has nothing to do with the O haplogroup. It goes back to the parent haplogroup DE. And remember, haplogroup, don't be mystified by the term. Haplogroup just means a group of individuals that share a common male ancestor when we're dealing with Y DNA, and female ancestor when we're dealing with mitochondrial DNA. Japanese people, like the Ainu people, share the same common ancestors as the Yoruba people of West Africa, or the Fulani, or Cameroonian Bantus. Go ahead, brother.
The Chinese. And after the final 200 years, making a total of 600 years, the people on Pilan achieved a completely recessive, pale-skinned, blonde.
So in 600 years, all these races came about, and finally we got white folks. Yeah, these ethnicities are and haplogroups are far older than what she's saying. But anyways,
haired, blue-eyed kind of a man. Thus, the white man was made. You can actually find several articles about how the Caucasian is only 6,000 years old. The black man's bones, on the other hand, keep being discovered with earlier and earlier dates. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the black man has no birth record. We were here since the beginning of time. But that's another video for another time. You say, no. They taught us in school that black people migrated to the north, and because of the lack of vitamin D and the environment, they just turned white.
Please pause that, Avery. Black people have been here since the beginning of time. This sounds like that J Electronica 66 trillion year theory. We've been here for 66 trillion years. You know how much time will have to elapse for 66 trillion years to be true? The stars would have all burnt out by now. There would be no usable energy in the universe. Everything would be cold. It's called a heat death, right? Everything would be cold. There would be no energy, no usable energy left in the universe. And you're saying 66 trillion years. Another thing is, there's articles that say Caucasians are only 6,000 years old. There are no articles that say that. And this ancient DNA from Sardinia unlocks 6,000 years of genetic history. I guarantee you, I'll go there. I go to that article there. It will not say.
I read that article. It's only specifically talking about Sardinians, not Anglo-Saxons, not Caucasians, not Germanic tribes, just the Sardinian people. That's it.
Yeah, no scientific peer-reviewed article is going to say that Caucasians just popped on the planet Earth 6,000 years ago. Come on, man. This is bait and switch right here. Classic bait and switch. Oh, I'm sorry, sister, man. This is just deserved right here. This is well deserved.
This nigga was clearly lying.
Is she lying, or does she not understand what she's reading? Because my contention is she doesn't understand what she's reading or whatnot, right? Because if I go from some Yaku fly shit to reading a story talking about like some LCS genes that appeared like 6,000 years ago, I might think I'm having some scientific backing to the Yakub story. Why is that incorrect?
That's a good question. The reason why it would be incorrect is that when it comes to those papers talking about the origin of the allele, there's no scientist involved for the birth of the allele. It seems to happen naturally rather than via alchemy.
Yeah. One is talking about a change in allele frequencies, right? Meaning, actually, they teach that a sole individual was born that had it, and then he mixed it to a small population and may have spread it that way. That is completely different than saying that Yakub, the big-headed scientist, had a big pot and he put ingredients in it and mixed it up and created white men. That's completely different.
Hold on, did she say that part about the big pot part or no?
No, that's me embellishing.
Okay, because we got to get into the actual Yakub theory then.
She said it was two germs, which a germ is not what she thinks it. One germ was for black and one germ was for white, I think she said.
Or brown.
Quick question: Are either one of you?
Brown,
Quick question: Are either one of you thoroughly familiar with the Yakub theory or the Yakub story?
No, I just know what people say about the Yakub theory.
Yeah,
that he was a scientist. That some people say that they took pig ears and animal parts and made white people. I've heard different stuff. But no, have I sat down and read this cuckoo brain stuff? No, I haven't.
So the NOI story is well, no, I'll let y'all run into some. We'll get into it after a while.
So play the video.
Yeah, but it's the NOI story isn't alchemy. It isn't like it isn't So there's two stories that people get conflated with the NOI stuff. There was a scientist who blew up a chunk of the moon. And then there's a scientist who was involved in the manipulation to create white people, and it gets mad deep. I've actually debated the topic before in this video, and whatnot. It's an interesting topic, but yeah, we'll get into it because it's so hilarious when you fully unpack the thing, fam. It's not even funny. Hey, Sean Harris, if you got time, bro, I might need you to jump on. All right.
Yeah.
He said I can't join. No worries, bro. I got it. No worries.
Yeah. But he was what do you call it? 5%.
We can put the link in.
Yeah, no, I was saying we both know the history of thing. We both got history with that version or that ilk of Islam.
Yeah, I mean, it's all an explanation. It's just like when they were saying we were beasts of fields. It's always trying to explain the other, because the other.
I was just saying I put the link in, Sean, but go ahead and shoot.
Yeah, he said he couldn't join. Always trying to explain the other as giving them some kind of external origin because they can't conceive or see people that look different than them to have a common origin.
Well, see, no, that's the thing is like, so they have an internal origin in the NOI story.
All right. Doggone Afro-Asiatic says, actually, National Geographic does say modern Europeans begins 65,000 years ago. Now, if I read this article, it better say they popped on the earth during that time, brother.
Yeah, I think he's oversimplifying that statement because is that article talking about the language? Is it talking about because the genomes existed beforehand, like Chatterman as an example. He is a Western European hunter-gatherer, and that's before 6,000 years. But as for the language, the Proto-Indo-European language, which likely originated in the Pontic Steppe or Steppe, would have been in Ukraine basically, with the Yamnaya culture, that is around the time of the early Bronze Age, late Chalcolithic. And the Yamnaya people have a particular genome in themselves. Eastern European hunter gatherer and Caucasus hunter gatherer, and like maybe some Anatolian Neolithic stuff like that.
This
But
is why we have to take our time. This is why we have to take our time and debunk and refute this stuff, because you have people like this, and all you gotta do, brother, is cite that source, drop the source. We'll go read it, right? You have people like this all the time. I shared a video on Telegram that I did last year, and it was about the 2020 Reich paper about the Shumlaka remains. Remember, people were claiming there were a group of like 2 or 3 people claiming that modern West Africans are 100% basal West African.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from not really reading these articles. So just show me what article you're talking about. I got a good idea what you're talking about, but I want you to cite the source, and we'll read it together once my brother gets finished going through this. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll put the link in, but I'm not going to bring anybody up until the video's over with. But I'm going to put the link in, and y'all can be in the back and kind of wait.
Look, this is the dogma. Brother, all I need you to do is cite the source.
Yeah, post the source. When you come up, because I want you to come up, post the source, and we'll read it together. Because I think I know what you're talking about. It's talking about the Yamnaya expansion, more than likely. But unless you're talking about the light skin a little, but either way, we'll let's get started here. So.
Yeah, I hope they come up so they can start talking from their perspective. Because from their perspective, just to be clear, there's a couple things you guys are skipping. So I really do hope they come up, because so that they can break it down.
Yeah, I have put the link in so y'all can come up. You'll just have to wait until the video's over. And then
all I've seen so far more is a misrepresentation of an article and a bad argument for germs. That's what I've seen so far on this. And white people, quote unquote, air quotes, starting 6,600 years ago, from black to Chinese to Japanese, and then white people, from what she shared with us.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna see if I can find a good short video on this council right quick.
Covered with earlier and earlier dates. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the black man has no birth record. We were here since the beginning of time. But that's another video for another time. You say, no. They taught us in school that black people migrated to the north, and because of the lack of vitamin D and the environment, they just turned white over time. That's utterly ridiculous. And that theory was actually debunked by Dr. Ashley Robbins, who published an article in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology in 2009. Go check that out. Now, why did Yaqub want to make a completely
Hold on, I might need to check out those sources really quick. Let me go back.
Yeah, so this is what I'm saying, man. Pontification. She pontificates the whole time. The smart thing to do, usually when people are not BSing you, they'll just read from the source. Just read what the source is saying. What part of that are you talking about?
Right. I read that paper right here that she has. It's the evolution of light skin color, role of vitamin D disputed.
Yeah.
And so that paper actually goes into the SLC45 whatever allele that is the origin of light skin. And she's what did she say? Did she say that it was debunked or something? Let me go back.
The vitamin D theory is being disputed there. Not that humans develop lighter skin over time. That's the trick play here. That's the sleight of hand being done here. And this is why I can't get a sister 100% pass. All of this stuff is sleight of hand. BHIs do it. Afrocentrics do it. They all do this sleight of hand stuff to try to push their dogma. Go ahead, brother.
So just to be clear, just for everyone listening, though, the NOI story isn't that skin tone didn't change over time. They literally break down that it changed over time. They just say it happened in a secluded area, etc. Whatnot. So it's a don't want to conflate the concepts, because if somebody's listening who's NOI, they're like, well, no, that's what we say. We say skin tone changed over time. It's a different concept though.
Right. That's why with this video we're kind of specifically addressing her.
But she's not making her own claims, Ebru. That's the point. She's talking about NOI claims.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's why. So when she keeps saying the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, do you know what she's talking about?
Yeah, she's talking about
I
the
know what
guy
she's
who.
talking about.
Yeah.
The NOI, the Nation of Islam.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She's not making her own claims. She's speaking on other people, like the claims of the school that she comes from, school that she comes from.
Right. She's giving her argumentum here, and she's trying to feign it as if it's scientifically backed. And it's just like this will all be clear if she just read from these damn sources to see if it says what she actually saying. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying.
Don't disagree.
Article in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology in 2009. Go check that out. Now, why did Yaqub want to make a completely different type of human being, you might ask? Well, the root of this answer is actually spiritual. Allah, the supreme being, his desire and will is for us to be perfected so that the kingdom of heaven can become manifest on earth with no sorrow, no murders, no lies, no mischief. Only good, only truth, only happiness, and only peace. So it was God who inspired Yaqub to create a people who, through grafting to the most recessive part of man, would in turn make him weaker physically, but also weaker spiritually by having an inclination to murder, destruction, mischief, and lies by nature. And he would grant them, that people, dominion over the original people of the earth for a certain amount of time. The Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 30, puts it like this. And when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to place a ruler in the earth, they said, wilt thou place in it such as make mischief in it and shed blood? And we celebrate thy praise and extol thy holiness. He said, surely I know what you know not. The messenger teaches us that the amount of time that they were to rule is 6,000 years. And after that time, one greater would come and overpower that wicked rulership by making manifest the tricks and lies with a new nation of truth and actually destroying all rebellion.
Man, so basically this is what goes to collectivism, and what I was talking about the other day about these communist overtones with these religious groups. So basically she tied all wickedness and evil doing to this skin color, or to the creation of these people with this skin color. I find issue with that because wars didn't start with quote unquote white people, and damn sure ain't gonna end with quote unquote white people or lighter skinned people. Evil is evil. It has nothing to do with how you look, your phenotype. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has something to do with your character, your actions. And when you start looking at groups of people like this, you evolve into a hate group. You evolve into these other things that these other groups that want to what Hitler did to the Jews, that want to cause harm. This is the baby stages, or the infant stages of that type of argument and type of group and type of thinking. So that's the danger of that. She just put all of the world's evils on people that have different a different skin tone.
So to be clear, that's not quite what she did, but so when you understand the story, she's not saying that evil didn't exist in the world before them, right? What she's saying is that, and when you understand the Yaqub story, Yaqub saw evil in the world beforehand. He was trying to help rid the world of evil. And so he concentrated the joint, right, in order to force people to have to live with it and actually deal with it and overcome it, right? So she's talking about, so she's running on some, what the BHI would talk about, the Gentile, the time of the Gentiles is not yet full, or some kind of things. You know what I'm saying? In that Yaqub was trying to get people to spiritually overcome what was again. So the concept of the two germ theory is that they exist within the black man, right? Or the original man, however you want to, however she's going to talk about it, right? And so this is some really some Island of Dr. Moreau stuff. It's literally taking off the same concept, to where he's trying to get the devil out of man by extrapolating it into a pure form. Not that it comes out of man altogether, right? And that the original man is supposed to overcome the impurity within themselves by overcoming the personified evil.
So maybe I'm mishearing what because I didn't hear that from her.
No, that's what I'm saying. She's talking to people who know what she's talking about. That's what I'm saying. So she's skipping over stuff. Like she's assuming you know the jargon already. And I can tell y'all both don't know the story, and that's why I'm trying to jump in. Like,
no, I don't know the jargon. But what did she say?
So you see, my man in the correct talking about correct more. That's what I'm saying. Like, so again, she's saying that Yaqub was trying to help man alleviate his own spiritual evil, right? His own spiritual darkness by concentrating it into a group of people that would force the original man to literally have to overcome the evil within themselves and whatnot over time. So Yaqub was trying to do a beneficial thing for mankind in this story, right? By helping them to overcome their internal struggles, their internal evil, by giving them an external adversary to fight, or to an external adversary to embody said evil.
Did we lose him? You there, more?
No, I'm here.
Oh, you stopped.
No, I heard him. I
was talking.
Oh, okay. So you went out?
No, Ebri heard me, so I know that they heard me. It was you that went out.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to cut. I didn't hear you no more.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my headphones just in case.
Y'all ready to play video? Or are you gonna repeat what you said?
No, I want to rewind it. I want to see what she said because I heard something.
Yeah, rewind a little bit. If you rewind a little bit, like I'm gonna jump in every now and again to try to correct stuff. But like she's definitely speaking to a group of people who know what she's talking about. She's not trying to explain it to people who don't know what she's saying.
Published an article in the American Journal of Physical Anthropology in 2009. Go check that out. Now, why did Yaqub want to make a completely different type of human being, you might ask? Well, the root of this answer is actually spiritual. Allah, the supreme being, his desire and will is for us to be perfected so that the kingdom of heaven can become manifest on earth with no sorrow, no murders, no lies, no mischief. Only good, only truth, only happiness, and only peace. So it was God who inspired Yaqub to create a people who, through grafting to the most recessive part of man, would in turn make him weaker physically, but also weaker spiritually by having an inclination to murder, destruction, mischief, and lies by nature. And he would grant them, that people, dominion over the original people of the earth for a certain amount of time. The Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse.
That's what I heard right there. I see what you were talking about because she basically said it was drawn out of man. And then when they create this white race, they would have an inclination to evil.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking that's.
Oh, I'm not saying it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like, yo.
I'm not saying it makes sense, bro. I'm just trying to make sure that we accurately report what they believe or whatnot, so people don't be like, oh, see, they're trying to misconstrue the point or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Because that's like, so when you're talking about this stuff and you're right about what you're saying scientifically, they're gonna run to their crap like, but see, they were wrong about this. They were misrepresenting the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or what? Like, no, we want to make sure that their actual beliefs are talked about. So when you're actually hitting them with the real science, they can't say we're not addressing their points. That's all.
Yeah. So basically, what I've heard her say, I heard the part about the drawn out. I missed that part.
Mm-hmm.
Drawn out of man first, and then put into white people, and now white people have an inclination.
It's not put into white people. Like it's what they manifested into. Like so it's not like it was like a scientific, like it wasn't like it was like a needle went into a black dude and went into another person. They created no. They had this biological process. So again, it wasn't alchemy. It was biology, whatnot, to where it was a breeding process that they got this way.
So yeah. Well, that's how what she explained earlier. But she still ends up with this inclination of evil in white people.
Mm-hmm. But understand, it's not absent in black people in the NOI tradition. It's concentrated in white people, where it's not as concentrated in black people. Not that I agree with that. I'm trying to give an accurate depiction of what they believe.
Yeah. I get it. But you're still saying a swath of people because of their skin color. That's how you ID tag them, no matter how you think they were created or how they came into being. are naturally, because she used the word natural.
No, gotcha. Yeah, no, the
Yeah,
natural have a natural inclination to the beastly behaviors and whatnot.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's racist.
No, they are saying no, 100%. They are saying that is 100% racist. But it gets super hilarious when you actually understand the full story, bro. Like I'll break it down like after a while, but
Yeah, I never heard it deeply broken down. I've always heard the pig ear stuff and with
the pig ear stuff is like that comes from the Moorish stuff, bro. Like when you hear like the Taj Tariq Bey nonsense or whatnot, like they have this whole crazy thing they try to build on top of the NOI story, but like it's in the conscious community, there's this whole like game of telephone too, to where like the story just changes with it. Like so, you can hear the NOI tell it one way, you can hear the Nation of Islam or the 5%ers tell it another way. You can hear the offshoots from them tell it another way. You can hear Moors that mix the NOI stuff tell it another way. Like bro, it's. But to be clear, when you go back to the literature, there is a specific way that Elijah Muhammad and Farad talked about it.
Let me help my brother Doggone Afro-Asiatic out. Go to the website that you're looking at, copy and paste it, or copy and paste the title and author, and just post it in the comments, right? Because I don't think you can put hyperlinks, but just post the title. We can read it, right? And you need to learn timetables.
So just so we're clear for them, and this goes for Ibri, like so haplogroup stuff isn't going to matter. Autosomal DNA is not going to matter. For them, all they're going to worry about is times and dates, because that's how Elijah Muhammad talked about things. 6,000 years, trillions of years, this, blah, 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 blah. It's all cycles of time and whatnot. So in terms about like who came first, chicken or the egg, or people to send like that, that's not going to matter for them, right? Because for them, the story is no, well, they should have the same Y DNA as the black people, right? Or they should have the same Y DNA as other people that came before them, because they're not something separate from that, right? They come from the same people or whatnot. They were isolated. So long story short, just to encapsulate the process, you're taking a group of people and isolating them on an island, and then you're breeding them. You're going through a selective breeding process to go from black to brown, from brown to red, from red to yellow, from yellow to white, etc. That's how they break it down. Within a 6,000, excuse me, I think for them that happened. It either happened in 600 or 600 years. I got to double check that number. It's been a while since I read that part, but it happened in hundreds of years.
She said 600. Yeah, she said 600.
There we go.
Which is just silly. But she said that 600 years.
That's when like all the races came.
On one island, by G.
In the Mediterranean.
In the Mediterranean. Shout out to the island of Patmos or whatnot.
Yeah, and misappropriating the term germ. That was just fucking. I mean, this stuff that, like, to me, is inexcusable, because what people do is they do the polite thing, the word salad and everything, and they use different terms, try to mystify people. But that's inexcusable, because you can easily look this stuff up and take out the time and learn. So
you can do it now, but not when Elijah Muhammad was talking. Like, so when Elijah Muhammad was talking about the germ concept, and we're talking about like decades ago for him. Like that wasn't the nomenclature at the time, or that wasn't the well, it might have been part of the nomenclature, but it wasn't part of the broadly known nomenclature. So it wasn't to where, like, if you said germ to someone on the street, they would have thought you meant like the cold or the flu. You know what I mean? Like they're not hearing. So when he brought out germ in that, like, how to explain this? When he brought out germ in that sense, it was the first time a lot of black people heard it in a scientific sense, beyond like measles or mumps or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But she used the internet definition of it. Something that can change it to another form. I understand that. No,
yeah, I'm saying they're trying to, like, this is what I'm saying. They're doing the game of telephone, where they're trying to build on top of the joint. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's it's so crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because the story gets worse and worse over time.
Especially when you live in like the modern age. Like this woman looks like she's old enough to have gone to college, and if you take any biology class or whatever, like they're not gonna tell
well,
you.
Yeah, like, so you like, so understand the luxury and time that you live in, right? Like you live in that luxury of time. Like, so when the NOI came out, we're talking about a lot of people were literally in a depression and whatnot, and they were literally they specifically focused on poor people who were uneducated, right? That was literally what, like, Farad was like, no, go to these people. Like, he was telling people where to go, right? And they were specifically targeting people who were uneducated, who couldn't read well, etc. whatnot. This is why, like in modern times, you don't see a whole bunch of NOI happening. You don't see like their numbers getting bigger. They get small. You know what I'm saying? Like because people have more access to certain things at this current point. Not like people were stupid back then. I'm just saying like at a certain chunk in time when they came out, it was really hard. Like you're trying to read biology books and all that kind of stuff was not the first thing on your mind when you woke up. You was trying to make sure that the family was fed, right? And so prior to that and post to that, you don't see that ideology popping off too much, right? You see a highly educated populace amongst us that doesn't really buy that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right, yeah. That's why I'm saying she definitely don't have no excuse. She's a
No, I'm with it. And that's why I'm saying it gets worse over time.
Because when you cite these sources and you don't read them, like you're purposely being dismissive and elusive. Like you're trying to feign yourself as, oh, I have the hard, concrete facts, but you really don't. So that's why you're not really reading that article for what it says or whatever article she's citing. You know what I'm saying? That's the impression I get from this system, man.
Mm-hmm.
From beginning to this point.
Facts. But just know what they're quote mining for too when they're reading. Like, so they're not going. So again, she's like the average person, like in the congregation. She's not like just like the average Christian, the average Muslim, the average Jew is not going to like read the books, isn't going to do the research, isn't going to go read the commentaries. Like they're not there for that. They're there to show up and like, you know what I'm saying, like and be part of a group. You know what I'm saying? And so just like the average person nowadays doesn't read the studies or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? They know what people say about it. Just like what you're talking about, right? We're like, well, I know what people say about Yaqub and what I already know. Like she's in the same situation. I know what people have said about this story. Like but all they're quote mining for is just dates. They don't care about nothing else but dates. Because as long as they get dates, oh, see, like what all they care about is like, oh, there's an SEL gene that happened 6,500 years ago. See, oh man, Elijah Muhammad must have been right. And that's all they're looking for, fam. And then they're going to do the tail stuff. Let me look outside and see what's going on and see how I can prognosticate this in such a way where it matches the story with that.
Right. Yeah, I feel you. And there's a comment, by the way, that you should address. Right there. It's the one on the screen.
Yeah, we can do that. We can I actually enjoy your channel as a G2A, 2A mainland Greek. Could you all do more analysis of Southern Euros like Greeks and Italians, Spaniards, Corsicans, Sardinians? Yes, we can do a show on that.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I actually do want to touch on Southern Europe. Also,
shout out to the Tail Twins, by the way.
Shout out to Tail.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dogon Afro-Asiatic. So help me understand this part here. So you're saying that Elijah Muhammad was right, etc. In the sister citing papers in the video, and I know you're talking about certain stuff. Can you show any paper that talks about the diversity and phenotype amongst human beings happening within a 600-year time period?
That's a good question, actually. All right.
Y'all got it while we're waiting for that answer. Oh, he said.
Hold on. Well, I'll wait till I got his quote unquote article. And brother, you better get an ass whipping as soon as this video stops. I promise. Go ahead.
All right. Let's go.
For a certain amount of time. The Holy Quran, Surah 2, verse 30, puts it like this. And when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to place a ruler in the earth, they said, wilt thou place in it such as make mischief in it and shed blood? And we celebrate thy praise and extol thy holiness. He said, surely I know what you know not. The messenger teaches us that the amount of time that they were to rule is 6,000 years. And after that time, one greater would come and overpower that wicked rulership by making manifest.
So here's the issue with that part of the reading of the Quran she's talking about. She's talking about, for those who aren't familiar with the Quran, she's talking about a conversation in heaven between Shaitan and or Iblis and Allah. And so they're literally talking about not just any rulership or successorship or the Khalifa of Allah. They're talking about the creation of Adam. So you're going to have in the NOI concept where they're going to talk about that Adam was created from the Humma, like from the dark mud type stuff, right? Like give you the whole the original black man concept with that. And then they're going to flip this whole thing about like this whole making mischief in the earth concept and try to make it and make it the Yakub story concept, right? And you can't make it be both. Either it's Adam or it's the descendants of what happened with Yakub or whatnot. It cannot be both. On top of that, real quick, on top of that, a lot of they're going to make an argument as well for the jinn and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And so, or the jinn having some relation to these people or whatnot, or the jinn being what the Bible or what the Quran calls these people, etc. whatnot. And what's crazy about that is, again, in this conversation with the law, you have Iblis having this conversation with the law, and then later on in the Quran it says that Iblis became a jinn, right? So Adam is not ever called the jinn, but Iblis is. You got it, Ibri.
Come and overpower that wicked rulership by making manifest the tricks and lies with a new nation of truth, and actually destroying all rebellion, even the rebellion that was before this people was made.
Apparently, white nationalists are flocking to genetic tests, but some don't like what they find because often the tests reveal African ancestry.
A study at the University of Copenhagen looked at the DNA of blue-eyed individuals and found that 99.9% of them had a mutation in their OCA2 gene that rendered it useless. This led scientists to believe that all blue-eyed people may have come from one single common mutant European ancestor.
The absence of MC1R diversity in African populations indicates that in that part of the world, there is strong negative selection.
I just want to address really quick, the early part where it talked about how white nationalists have African ancestry. That's recent due to like slavery and mixing and stuff like that. It's typically white Americans that will have some of this African ancestry because of like I said earlier, raping and mixing during the slave period, stuff like that. So that's the only reason they would have recent African ancestry.
This comment on the stream is why I'm going so hard on this topic. Like, I'm not playing with this, man.
Also, the blue eye thing is true. All people with blue eyes do come from a single ancestor, but yeah, it wasn't like an African. It would likely been, I think, a Western European hunter-gatherer. Something like
most likely a descendant of a Cro-Magnon.
Yeah.
You know, and probably because hunter-gatherers easily bottleneck, because if you have a lean hunting month, you can die. Like, you can die pretty fast by starvation. So if you got a small amount of people and you have a random mutation that produces those eyes, it's easier to spread a mutation with a small group of people. So let's say it's one male and he has two women, he passes it off to his children. And it's only like a tribe of like 12 people. It's not hard to conceive how that mutation was fixed or became very populous over time.
Yeah, Chatterman actually had blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to the first man with blue eyes, he likely existed. From what I remember reading, I think blue eyes existed 20,000 years ago, not 6,000 years ago. So that's very important, because she's trying to put everything in 6,000 years. Blue eyes is not 6,000 years old. It's far older than 6,000 years.
Yeah, blue eyes is older than pale skin.
Yeah, humans had dark skin and blue eyes like Chatterman 10,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but to be clear, blue eyes could be older than pale skin in the story and still work.
Really? Because she said the blue eyes, blonde hair, and white skin came about 6,000 years ago from.
She didn't say that shit.
No, I'm with it. I'm just saying, like, so she's not even the most adept at her own story. So I'm just saying, like, you could, like, if I really parse this stuff, like, if let's say I'm a hardcore NOI person, right, and I'm just steeped in their literature all day long, or whatnot, that's all. Let's say that's all I read or whatnot, right? I can still force this to work if blue eyes.
Okay, well, I'll say this: blue eyes did not originate in the Mediterranean of Patmos Island. They likely originated.
My nigga, that's what I was talking. There we go, Ibri.
Yeah,
shoot the right shot.
It originated in Eurasia, probably somewhere in like somewhere near Russia, northern Russia. But here, let me get to this.
Stupidity.
So just so we're clear, that's one of the reasons why they're jumping on the whole Sardinia thing. So so just match that up with the island in the Mediterranean concept, right?
Right. I'm going to stick with the time periods and the locations, because white people did not originate in the Mediterranean. They would have originated not on the island of Patmos. Let me put it that way. They would.
Oh, hold on, real quick. Dogon Afro-Asiatic can't defeat Elijah Muhammad. Like, check this out. We're gonna do a whole special show just for you. When I'm gonna break down from the NOI literature to where the white man is not the devil, but is the perfection of the black man.
Ooh. Agent, not playing.
Yeah, that's some agent shit, brother.
Yeah, I debated it in I did on this joint before, man. I had him mad as hell, bro. Because all I did was cite literature, bro. And it's the coldest thing like literally. Like this is why like Farad Muhammad having straight hair and light skin, like once you understand the full breakdown of the Yaqub story, it's so hilarious, bro. Because Yaqub was trying to make a new black man. He was like, y'all niggas is just whack the way y'all are right now. I'm trying to make a perfected version of y'all niggas. But the only way I can get there is by perfecting through this white man. Right. And so he's trying to make a new black person who ends up being this straight-haired fraud person. Right. So you know how like in the NOI they talk about like, oh, your hair used to be straight. Your hair used to be straight like your eyebrows. Blah, blah. They trying to get like the concept of like, again, this phenotypical black person with kinky hair is like, it's frowned upon in the NOI literature.
Yeah, I heard that before, that why all your hair don't match your eyebrows. I heard that from not Elijah Muhammad. What's the dude name?
Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah, Farrakhan. I heard him say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Louis Farrakhan.
Like when it says Yaqub and eugenics, like it's so hilarious because like Yaqub couldn't stand black people, bro. Like Yaqub was trying to make a new, literally like a new Negro who was like again ends up. I'll save it for later. I'll say the part for later. But bottom line is, there's a reason why Farad looks the way he looks and why Farad looks the way he looks because Yaqub succeeded in the concept.
Yeah. Absence of MC1R diversity in African populations indicates that in that part of the world, there is strong negative selection against any alleles that would alter dark skin. And how long has this allele been fixed in African populations? Other genetic studies have calculated that it has been as much as 1.2 million years. Since our species evolved in equatorial Africa, it's reasonable to conclude that by that time, all humans were dark-skinned.
In today's program, we are focusing on the earliest days of Chinese civilization in the Yangtze River area. 6,000 years ago, on and around the Jianghan Plain bordering the Yangtze River.
In the total time of his grafting out of black, white, 600 years. And this figure tallies with the Bible's teaching of a man being created in 6 days. This days here you have means 100 years each, 600 years. And this also tallies with the creation of the universe. That's six. The whole entire universe, according to the Quran, was also created in 6 periods of time. And so Mr. Yaqub, the mighty scientist of that time, he produced his man on 6 because it did tally with the creation of the universe. They would be masters, gods, to rule the earth and the people, everything of life, for 6,000 years. And at the end of 6,000 years, the Aboriginal people will have at that time produced another one, mightier than Yaqub in wisdom and knowledge. And he would be equal with that one that created the heavens and the earth. And he would have the power and the infinitive wisdom to make his word be as the first one. This is the man we have before us today, to whom praise is due. Master Farad Muhammad is that man.
You heard that, right?
Okay, it just stops. But I guess that's it. Hold on. Let me stop it. Cancel. It's kind of weird when she did the Asian part, because the Asian guy just talked about 6,000 years, but he doesn't go into like them, like he didn't even finish his sentence. He just cuts to Elijah Muhammad.
No, and that's what I said, but they're gonna quote mine for time dates, and that's it. Like, we're gonna what we're gonna have to do, bro, is we're gonna have to break down Message to the Black Man one day. Like, if you've never read that book, we're gonna have to go through just a couple chapters from that book, like chapter 55, maybe chapter 58, maybe chapter 62, but definitely chapter 55.
All right, I'm gonna quickly put the link in the side chat, but before I do that, I just want to quickly play one more video. This will be a shorter one, and I want to just show people the Yamnaya expansion so people kind of know what I'm referring to. So when it comes to the origin of Europeans, it would not have been in the Mediterranean Sea of Patmos Island, but rather the origin of Proto-Indo-Europeans would have been in the Pontic Steppe of modern-day Ukraine, and they would have expanded from the Pontic Steppe in about the late Chalcolithic, early Bronze Age, along with specific Y-DNA haplogroups such as R1b going into Western Europe and R1a going into Eastern Eurasia. I'm going to see if I can find a short video that kind of shows the migration patterns.
Hey, let me know when I can tag in, because I've already read that article and I just really want to spank this dude. So just let me know.
Yeah, I think Yeshua should tag in, because this Yamnaya stuff, Ibri, is literally not even going to work for what you're talking about. Like they're going to spend it. They're going to, bro. I'm trying to tell you, there's a way they're going to spend it. Like, that's what I'm trying to say, because you'll talk about stuff without knowing where they're coming from. Right?
Go ahead, then you shoot.
No. I'm not saying that. I'm referring to the doggone Afro-Asiatic and what he was claiming. So let's recapitulate, brother. Let's recapitulate for everybody on the page, because I don't want nobody confused when everybody on the same page. The sister said that the Caucasian came about 600 years ago. His response to that was, oh, National Geographic says the Europeans began 6,000 years ago, or 6,500 years ago. That's what his comment was. Let me find it. Which is completely different than what the sister said, right? I guess he thinks that European and Caucasian is synonymous. That's why he brought that up. So cool. I lowered my handicap and allowed him to say that. Then I required him to give me the source. See right here. This is what he said. Actually, National Geographic does say modern Europeans begins 6,500,000 years ago. And he's saying this to buttress the sister's claim of Caucasians being created 6,600 years ago. Like they were just invented then, around that time. That's when they pop up. That article is not saying that doggone Afro-Asiatic, and I'm going to show you here in a minute. Again, he says this as if this article is buttressing the claim. According to National Geographic, Elijah Muhammad was strikingly accurate on the birth of modern Europeans. Right? So the inception of modern Europeans is 6,500 years ago, according to him. Even though sister says 6,600, but we're just going to let that go and just ride with his logic. Then he says again, modern Europe's genetic history starts in the Stone Age. National Geographic read, and our Lord is most merciful. This is why the brother wanted to take him to the Yamnaya expansions, because if you just read this, it sounds like he's confused about the Yamnaya expansion. These people are coming into Europe during around the Bronze Age, right?
So the Eurasian in the NOI thing, just to keep it clear, like, so Europe has this concept of meaning like the rope of Asia, like it was like the concept of like people, like, so people coming out of Eurasia and doing what the Yamnaya culture did is it goes in step with what they talk about in the NOI story, right? So it's not gonna.
I hear you more. I'm focusing on.
I'm just saying, Ref. I'm like, yeah, that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
No. I'm talking about what this brother's saying. You understand? I'm arguing what this brother's saying because he's saying up and down that National Geographic says 6,500 or 4,500 BCE is that's when you get the advent of European. It's the first European. That's what he's arguing, and he's saying that buttresses the claim of white people starting 6,500 years ago, or the invention.
Let's show what the article actually says about 6,500 years, because they're gonna. That's what I'm saying. All they're looking for is a number, bro.
Yeah, I got you.
Because again, in their concept, Caucasian and the Caucasus Asian or the dead Asian, how they'll say it, and the European it is synonymous or whatnot.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, but he's gonna use your lingo and say, "Oh, I was right." No, you're not. He's gonna actually read the damn article.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make sure you don't. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make sure you don't run off with the lingo and say, like, see,
look, I never said that. I said modern Europeans. Slow down, brother. It doesn't even say that. It does not say modern Europeans.
So just understand what he means. So let's just go to the article because all he's seen in his head, bro. Like, so y'all are gonna argue over names or whatnot, and you're saying the same words from two different perspectives or whatnot, right?
But I'm not gonna allow him to run away from what he actually is implying here.
Right.
He's implying that white people were conceived 6,600 years ago. And the words he's using, the sister said Caucasian, he said European. He's saying this article says Europeans, modern Europeans start their beginning. They were conceived, they were invented, they came on the earth 6,500 years ago. This article is not saying that at all. At all. All right, so
I'm going to put the link in for you. What's his name? Dogon. I'm going to put the link in for you, Dogon, and you can come up and verbally explain your points. Dublin, if you want to come up too, you can. Mr. Blacktastic, anybody else? And we can dialogue about this, but click the link and come up so we can verbally talk about this. Go ahead.
So what he's saying, math don't lie. What's wrong with the numbers, right?
Right.
And that's why we got to go exactly what is happening at that numerical date in the article. That's what we got to specify for them. Because go ahead.
Quick. So that's why I'm going to specify it. This is the article he quoted. Matter of fact, this is not even an article. This is a blog. He quoted a blog. So it states modern Europe is younger than we thought. This was written by this person here, Carly Sue or Cario Sue, however you say that, April the 24th, 2013. So this is her words, right? It says modern Europe's genetic history starts in Stone Age Europeans as people are younger than we thought, a new study suggests. So he took this and ran with it, right? Like many of the zingers that we see in articles and blogs. We see zingers here. So he's taking this to mean that modern Europeans, as you know, people say white people, right, started 4,500 years ago. Well, you actually messed up on that too, bro.
Man,
it doesn't say 6,500 years.
Thank you.
It says 4,500 years, and the article says 2,200 BCE that she's referencing, right? It says DNA recovered from ancient skeletons reveals that the genetic makeup of modern Europe was established around 4,500 years ago. That would not put you 4,500 BCE. So again, this is why I'm showing. Cause I know you're not going to join the link because I know you guys is type that you ultra pseudo dogmatic people. So you say here, the second paragraph of the National Geographic article says 6,500 years ago. Again, this is not an article from National Geographic. This is an education blog, and it says 4,500 years ago. And it says not by farmers who arrived in the area around 7,500 years ago or by earlier hunter-gatherer groups. And if you continue to read on here, it tells you about the admixture. Let me get to that. Before we get to the actual article that's in question, right here. This new study indicates that modern European genetics is a result of many migrations, not that if they were invented or they just popped up on the planet Earth or anything like that. by different groups at different times from different places. The article identifies 2 early migrations from Africa about 35 to 40,000 years ago. These would be your Cro-Magnons. Those would be your first Europeans, Cro-Magnons, haplogroup C, and then some F descendants, right? Europe's earliest inhabitants, and from the Middle East about 7,500 years ago. That's your early European farmer group, which would include G2A. Now, if you click this link here and actually read the study that's in question, because you've already messed up on the 4,500 years. I'm going to see if you're going to even admit that part. So Blacktastic was correct. That's not 4,500 BCE. That's 4,500 years ago. Look what he's saying. This is why I don't play with them more. I'm not giving him any rope. Well, he already hung himself, but it says 4,500 years ago. Can you acknowledge that? And that's what Blacktastic was trying to show you earlier when he says it doesn't say 6,500 years ago. And then you said here, the article in fact says modern Europe is 6,500 years ago on National Geographic News. No, it does not. Right? It gets worse when you click the damn article, man. Let's stop this BS shit, man. This community loves BS.
Because this is like the only this is the only group that's probably going to be a little bit more pseudo than the Tail Twins in them. You feel me? And that's why that's like I appreciate you for killing them slow, because like it's got to be done slow, bro. That's all I'm saying. It got to be a slow cook. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
So death by 1,000 cuts, huh? Instead of just chopping off their head. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying
and the cool part about this Izzy Bree is like, so everyone we're talking to in the community, like from the Sister E's on up to Tail and them fam, like you gotta understand, like this is part of the ethos that they've heard growing up, right? Like, so you're too young to hear this stuff, and thank God that you are. I'm loving the fact that my man Yeshub's too young to have heard this stuff, right? Like so for me and everybody above my age, like this is just part of the fabric of the universe for us, bro. So like I'm like this is what we're addressing. Shout out to Afro-Asiatic.
Hey, peace, salamo, Orthodox, more peace to the shalom to the panel.
Yeah, salam, fair.
Are you doggone Afro-Asiatic?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do you admit that it says 4,500 years ago before we move on and read the rest of this article?
No, the article actually says 4,500 BC and 6,500 years ago, and that it was not founded, that it was not produced by Europe's first farmers at 7,500. That's what
not what it said.
Yes, okay, it is, brother.
Hold on, your shoe.
Yes, it is.
Can you read it for us? Can you read it for us, bro?
Yeah, read it on the screen. It's right there. DNA recovered from ancient skeletons. Read it.
No, you actually have a. I don't know if you have the same scroll. Can you scroll up some?
Just read this real quick, then I'll scroll down.
I hear what you're saying. I'm familiar with the article, brother. I just didn't pull it up yesterday.
This isn't an article. This isn't an article. It's a blog.
Yeah, correct. But what it says at the top of the vlog in the introduction, it says 4,500 BC, which would bring us to 6,500 Ka. That would be 6,500 years ago, brother. Scroll down there.
Yeshu, can you zoom in a little bit for me?
Yeah, you gotta zoom in.
Zoom in right there for me.
I'm zoomed in, brother. You don't want to read this? Why you don't want to read this?
So can you read the sentence starting at DNA, please?
Yeah, that's I don't know what happened to that article that y'all got on the screen, but the one that I got, it says 4,500 BC and 6,500 years ago. I can come in on my laptop and show you the actual article that I have. I don't know what you guys have.
Yeah, can you do that for us?
Yeah, I could do that.
And just to the record, like Afro-Asiatic is a real respectful dude, real peaceful dude, real good dude to build with and whatnot. But while you're looking for that, bro, like we got to have a convo about like this genetic diversity and phenotype and all the type of happening within a 600-year time span. Like we can go to like the 6,500 years all that's cool, but the 600-year part I gotta understand, bro.
This article doesn't say 65.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Watch this real quick, Asiatic. While you get that, we're gonna continue to go into the article and show you where they got this 4,500 years ago from, right? And what this article is talking about. It's talking about the mitochondrial DNA, the female component. That's what it's talking about. And it's talking about haplogroup H. You do know that, right? Wait. You do realize that, right? You realize that, right?
Well,
you don't.
I'm not even sure if that's the same article you have, because the National Geographic article that I'm talking about, it says that Europeans, it's National Geographic, but it definitely does not say 4,500 years ago. It says 4,500 BC. That's what I'm not understanding.
Can you pull that up?
That's what I'm not understanding. Yeah, I just put it in the chat. Didn't I put it in the chat?
That's how I found this article, because you said modern Europe's genetic history starts in the Stone Age.
All right,
that's what you hold on. That's what you put in the chat, and I said, okay, this is the article he's talking about. Then I pulled it up, found out it was a blog.
Mm-hmm. Right, the National Geographic blog. Yeah.
I clicked a new study suggests, and I know why they got that 4,500 years ago, because I went and read the article. So when you click new study suggests, this is what's going to pop up.
Man,
this is what's going to pop up, brother.
Yeah, that's trippy right there. I'm gonna try to.
So this is only talking about a mitochondrial haplogroup H, female lineage. It's that not even like all Europeans. It's just haplogroup H, MT haplogroup.
Yeah, so it's discussing haplogroup H was always in ancient Europe, but then you start seeing downstream clades coming in later around 2200 BCE. That's
hold on real quick. Hold on, let me share my screen. I know which one he's talking about. So I'm gonna do this for the homie right quick, because I think I legitimately know what he's talking about.
Dang, this don't even talk about haplogroup R.
No,
so,
it don't.
Is this the one you're talking about, Doc? From 2013?
Kier Thin 4? Is that Kier Thin 4?
Oh, that's
yes. Yes, sir. That is correct. That one right there.
This one does say 4,500 BC.
Yes, sir.
And then it goes on. It says in the mid Neolithic or 6,500 years ago.
Oh, okay. Because
Yes,
I'm about to grill you on that one.
Yeah, I was like, one of us is being disingenuous, and good thing it wasn't yourself or it wasn't me. So that's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Read about. Wait, go up real quick. When it says a new study suggests. Click that. Where's the link to that?
There's no hyperlink on this. That's what I'm saying. You got a newer version of it. That's what I'm saying. This right here is literally from April 25th, 2013. Right.
Yeah, so it's probably talking about this paper, because this is April 23, April 2013.
But the numbers are different. The numbers on this vlog right here, this National Geographic vlog, is 4,500 BC, which would bring us to 6,500.
Right.
That's what to be clear. The brother didn't pull a tail. This isn't a GMAP thing.
I was about to cook you, man.
Nah, I don't get down like that, bro.
All right, so hold on. Go down.
Where's the original actual academic peer review paper?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That's what I'm saying. Hold on. Here we go. Here's the
Alan Cooper and Kier Thin 4, National Geographic News.
No. The
but
actual Nature or PMC article.
Okay.
Yeah, because this just summarizes. Yeah, this just summarizes it. It doesn't go into it.
Yep.
Oh, of course.
Hold on, let me see if what's the name of it? Put the link in.
Oh yeah, so y'all, I had to type in what the brother said. I typed in National Geographic European genetics, and I typed in 4,500 BC, and that's what popped up, right?
Man,
Can you put that
appreciate
link in the
that,
private chat
Orthodox
more?
One.
No worries.
I'm gonna
like I said, I've always known you to be a peaceful brother to build with and whatnot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I don't even like to come through and really cause no contention. You know, big respect. You know, but you know, I just gotta. You know, it's an argument. You know, it's an argument. You know, in the data. You know, that's it. You know what I mean? Other than that, it's all peace. It's all respect.
Yeah. So,
but do you actually believe in the Yakub story, or?
Well, I would say that his numbers are strikingly accurate and consistent with modern genetics, or that modern genetics is actually consistent with what he had been teaching since the 1930s, as far as the number of roughly 6,000 and 6,600 for the modern European to be produced. There's other corroborating evidence, like Moore began to elaborate on earlier, that they wouldn't be anything totally new. They would have to actually come from the original man. So they would have some variants of markers of those tribes who chose to participate. If one goes with the narrative, you know what I mean? They would have some markers. They would possibly have R, they would have some E, different variants. And we do have those, how do we put it, anomalies in genetics at right around 4,500, 4,000. You know, we have some distinct anomalies with E groups, with R in different groups. We do have that.
Yeah, but modern Europeans don't come about 6,500 years ago.
But I want to stick to this article because I just pulled
this
up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right here. That was published in 2013, and where it says modern Europe was established around 4,500 BC.
We can't see your screen, by the way.
6,500 years ago, and not by the first farmers who arrived around the area around 7,500 years ago. That must have been a correction to this, and let me tell you why. When you go down,
screen, by the way, you can't see it.
It says I'm sharing. Oh,
nah.
No. Right here. So I pulled it up here. One more had on the screen. Y'all can see it, right?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Y'all can see it. So this article does say 4,500 BCE, but the blog is actually correct on what this date is, and I'm going to show you why. It says right here, 4,500 BC in the mid-Neolithic or 6,500 years ago, and not by the first farmers who arrived there in the area around 7,500 years ago, about the earlier hunter-gatherer groups. Read about Europe's oldest town. So when you go down here, you see where it says Nature's Communications? The surprising findings are part of a new study published in this week's issue of Nature's Journal Communications. So what I'm going to do here, copy link address. I'll put this in a link. You can all follow with me.
Yeah, I was looking for the right hyperlink in there because I knew it had to be in there somewhere.
There it is. If you click that link, like I said, same damn article. Neolithic mitochondrial haplogroup H genomes and the genetic origins of Europeans. So when you go here,
my bad. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, talking about mitochondria. If you go down, it tells you here in the study, Cooper and his colleagues extracted mitochondrial DNA, which children inherit only from their mothers, from the teeth and the bones of 39 skeletons found in central Germany. The skeletons range in age from about 7,500 to 2,500 years old.
This don't prove the. My bad. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is what you have to get understanding without readers. So it's the team focused on a group of closely related mitochondrial lineages, mutations in mitochondrial DNA that are similar to one another, known as haplogroup H, which is carried by up to 45% of modern Europeans. Cooper and his colleagues focused on haplogroup H because previous studies have indicated the mutations might have been present in European genetic makeup for several thousand years. It's unclear how this haplogroup became dominant in Europe. Some scientists have proposed that it spread across the continent following a population boom after the end of the last ice age about 12,000 years ago. But the new data paints a different picture of the genetic foundation of modern Europe. Rather than a single or a few migration events, Europe was occupied several times in waves by different groups from different directions and at different times. The first modern humans to reach Europe arrived from Africa 35 to 40,000 years ago. By about 30,000 years ago, they were widespread throughout the area while their close cousins, Neanderthals, disappeared. Hardly any of these early hunter-gatherers carried the H haplogroup in their DNA. About 7,500 years ago, during the early Neolithic period, another wave of humans expanded to Europe, this time from the Middle East. They carried in their genes the variant of the H haplogroup. In their minds, knowledge of how to grow, knowledge of how to grow and raise crops. That's what the article's saying. You see that? Now, that's cross compare what they're actually quoting here. So, dang it. Yeah, y'all wasn't seeing anything I was reading, huh? Damn it.
No, we were just hearing.
Yeah, I was reading. I was reading the article.
Oh, it popped up on another screen. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, there we go. This is what I was reading. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
I'm sorry, y'all. About 7,500 years ago, during the early Neolithic period, another wave of humans expanded into Europe. These are those farmers, right? This time from the Middle East. They carried in their genes a variant of the haplogroup H. In their minds, knowledge of how to grow and raise crops. So they came with the early European farmers, basically. Archaeologists call these first century European farmers the linear pottery culture, LBK, so named because their pottery often had linear decorations. The genetic evidence shows that the appearance of the LBK farmers and their unique H haplogroups coincided with a dramatic reduction of the U haplogroup, the dominant haplogroup among the hunter-gatherers living in Europe at that time. Farmers move in, the findings settle a long-standing debate among archaeologists, said Wells, who is also a National Geographic explorer in residence. Archaeology alone can't determine whether cultural movements such as new style of pottery or, in this case, farming were accompanied by the movements of people, Wells said in the email. In this studies, we show that changes in European archaeological record are accompanied by genetic changes, suggesting that the cultural shifts were accompanied by a migration of people in their DNA. Again, this is not saying anything to the effect of the story of Yaqub or whatever the was teaching.
Right, because this is only dealing with the female, like one haplogroup, one Eurasian haplogroup, which is H, compared to like Y DNA, like R or I. This is only the female lineage.
Right.
And there's tons of different female mitochondrial female mitochondrial haplogroups, like tons of different ones.
So that article is saying that it did come from the farmers, because the one that I was citing said that it didn't come from the farmers at 7,500.
So it's going to address that. The next part is going to address that. It says the LBK group and its descendants were very successful and spread quickly across Europe. They became the first pan-European culture, if you like, Cooper said. Given their success, it would be natural to assume that the members of the LBK culture were significant genetic ancestors of modern Europeans. Here goes the part addressing the title. But the team's genetic analysis revealed a surprise. About 6,500 years ago in the mid-Neolithic, the LBK culture was a self-displaced. So those earlier female lineages that had H were displaced. Watch this.
And where is the LBK culture, by the way? Is it in Sardinia? Is it in the Pontus?
It's not in the island of Patmos. It's not there. Nowhere near. It's in the European mainland.
Okay.
It says their haplogroup H type suddenly became very rare, and they were subsequently replaced by populations bearing a different set of haplogroup H variations. This is what the article is saying. It's not saying that the inception of Europeans themselves were invented during this time. It's saying people migrated in with these females that had a variation of haplogroup H. Go on. The mysterious
a specific downstream of the H.
And they were displaced. And they were displaced by a different set of H.
Yes, that's what it's saying. Different set of females. Yeah. Mysterious turnover. The details of this genetic turnover event are murky. Scientists don't know what prompted it or even where the new colonizers came from. The extent or nature of this genetic turnover are not clear, and we don't know how widespread it is, Cooper said. If this turnover were widespread, it could have been prompted by climate change or disease, he said. All we know is that the descendants of LBK farmers disappeared from Central Europe about 4,500 BC, clearing the way for the rise of populations from elsewhere with their own unique H signatures.
And also in this paper, I haven't seen anything dealing with like skin tone yet. Do they talk about white skin or anything?
No, it has nothing to do with white skin.
Okay, just checking.
So real quick, I'm going to shift to the Neolithic article, right? So share this tab instead. So this is the article that they're citing here: Neolithic mitochondrial haplogroup H genomes and genetic origins of Europeans, right? So in the abstract, which is a summation of the whole paper, says haplogroup H dominates present-day Western European mitochondrial DNA variability, approximately 40%, right? Less than 40%, or greater than, greater than 40%. Yet was less common, approximately 19% among early Neolithic farmers, approximately 5450 BC, and virtually absent in Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. Here we investigate this major component of the maternal population history of modern Europeans and sequence 39 complete haplogroup H mitochondrial genomes from ancient human remains. So today in modern Western Europeans, this haplogroup H variation is greater than 40%. But in early Neolithic farmers around 5450 BC, it was there, but it was less common at about 20%. This is why you got to always go back and read the paper that's being cited, because articles usually embellish or they give you zingers, right? This has nothing to do with somebody being created or popped up or, was an invention of a people group. It has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't say the invention, but it does say it was a transition or a shift. My thing is, I did cite this article to prove that the point that he was that the accuracy of the date, but there's also other corroborating studies like Alaka and Philistine DNA, the transition of Philistine DNA coming out of the area of the Mediterranean, which would be the direction of the area of Patmos, the transition of the Philistine DNA, as well as Alaka. Alaka DNA is placed around the same time as 6500. You have all of these incursions from various directions right around the same time.
We can read the Philistine paper too and see what it says, but still the point is, this has 6,500 years ago. That date that has nothing to do with an origin of anything of anybody.
Well, that's not what they saying. What it's saying is that there was a transition, that they noticed an abrupt transition in the genetics, that a shift took place. They say basically that's what the paper says, that it's unexplainable. They don't know what was the nature of the shift or where did they come from. If I was listening correctly to what the brother read.
No, we know. Okay. Yeah, go ahead. You shoot. Yeah.
So the National Geographic article said they don't know what prompted this migration. They're not saying that it's alien or something like that. They're saying they don't know what exactly did it. They
gave examples as well.
Yeah, they gave examples of what may have happened, disease, climate, so on and so forth. But here's the thing. The actual paper tells you that this haplogroup existed in early Neolithic farmers at about 20%. At about 20%. The paper says that. So it's not as if they fell out the sky, brother. They were already in Central Europe.
And it wasn't a massive change. It wasn't like this great change that like completely changed the landscape. These H markers would have been dark skinned. They wouldn't have been white because light skin did not exist yet. And this is just a migration of dark skinned females, not even males, just females, into Germany. But they're not coming from the Mediterranean. They're coming from another place in Eurasia. More than likely
the other H groups,
Scandinavia.
The other H groups in Europe are said to come from that same region. Right? So let me finish reading this real quick.
And when you're done, I'd like Brother Afroasiatic to break down the NOI doctrine about people coming out the caves and whatnot. Because I think they would line that up to the Amnaya expansion concept. And also, like, again, Like he was just telling you like the haplogroup part's not going to really phase the argument. So
it's
it
women
makes
though.
no damn sense because haplogroups are not. Hold on, haplogroups are not just words on a page. It's a group of individuals that share a common, in this case, female ancestor.
mm-hmm.
Those people are already there. These are not new people being there. There's already people there.
So again, this is why I try to slow it down early to make sure y'all understood the actual NOI claim. They're not saying like a new people came out the sky, bro. Like when he came on, he was saying like they were gonna have they should have previous haplogroups because they're being made from actual people or whatnot. They're not being like grown in a test tube. They're actually being biologically created in their own fashion.
But are these people supposed to be white or black?
From the island of Patmos.
So again, Ibri, like that's what I was saying. They go from there's a breeding selection process that they talk about in their storyline to where it goes from black to brown to red to yellow to white.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The sister said black, Chinese, Japanese, white.
All right.
Real quick, Afro check. Am I incorrect about that so far?
Yeah, you correct. You on point. Bro.
All right. So what skin tone are these people supposed to be then in this paper?
They Japanese, Chinese, white people. They ain't nowhere in this damn article, by the way. But that's what you
again. Skin tone is irrelevant to look at. Okay, if I'm an NOI person, Ibri, I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna match it up to another paper talking about like pale skin coming around 6,000 years ago, right? I'm not looking at this paper. If I'm coming from the NOI perspective, I'm not looking at this paper.
You just hop into different papers, and one paper can mean absolutely nothing to the next paper. Just
this is what I'm. So this. Even real quick, like I was saying earlier, like what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off looking for the dates, right? I'm going to quote mine for the dates, and I'm going to build the argument around what's going on at the date period, right? So again, you're going to hear them try to defend what's the events happening 6,000 to 6,500 years ago, right? So this one paper they're not going to say is qualifying all of what the NOI doctrine is. They're going to say this is pointing towards some replacement event happening or some shift happening 6,500 years ago. Then they're probably going to jump. And correct me if I'm wrong, Afroasiatic, but as I would see, like as I've seen it happen, actually, I've seen people jump from this one to a paper about the white skin happening or the pale skin originating a number of years ago. Would that be applicable to? Yeah. So would that be applicable to what you're talking about or no?
Yeah, it would be pretty accurate because we do see all of this activity, and we see it essentially around 6,500. But see that the other thing is, with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is his back migration from the Arabian Peninsula and the Levant is consistent with the punctuated births that we find with the E markers, with the explosion of E back into the African interior, what he called the tribe of Shabazz. Both of his figures are very significant when it comes to modern genetics, right around the area of 6,000 for the production of the European, or, the introduction of the European, and then the massive back migration into Africa out of Asia back into Africa, which he said 50,000 with the tribe of Shabazz. But when we look at the modern data, we see roughly in between 40 and 70,000 for that punctuated burst. So his numbers doctrinally are very consistent with modern genetics when it comes to those two episodes in our history.
All right. Can you give us another genetic? Well, this paper kind of doesn't prove really much anything because it's dealing with people in Europe migrating to other parts of Europe. I don't think this really confirms the Yacubian story. So is there another paper that you feel like confirms the Yacubian story? Because you do understand like this is only dealing with women, not even like men. And these women are just...
I don't even know why we're having the conversation. Just keep making up bullshit instead of just going off data. The oldest person that has white skin, is in Santa Serbia cave. It's 7,700 years old. That's the oldest. What you gonna do? Make some more shit up? We're not arguing your confabulation. Give data points.
What did I make up?
Everything you just said. Everything
all
you just
that
said was made up.
What did I make up? Tell me.
Well, of the stuff you said is not scientifically like proven.
What? Okay, tell me what I made up. The back migration or the 6,500 for
6,500, the back migration of that whatever back migration you're talking about from Arabia.
the punctuated bursts in the modern genetic data. You said I made that up?
No, you're making up the part where it lines up with Elijah Muhammad. You're just saying
Well,
anything lines up with
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. But the most honorable Elijah Muhammad had been teaching that there was a back migration out of the Arabian Peninsula long before modern genetics introduced us to what we call the e-dispersal or punctuated burst. That happens to be consistent with his narrative.
Boy said the same thing in the early 1910s.
I'm not quoting W.E. Du Bois.
No, but that was before him.
Most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That was before him, the Asiatic theory. I understand that. The part that you're being disingenuous on is saying that his theory lines up with science. It doesn't. What happens is we're reading what the scientific paper says, and then you're saying, yep, that's what the Elijah Muhammad says. First of all, the oldest white skin, the person with white skin is not 6,500 years ago.
You keep saying that, brother. Like he didn't say that it was the first time that white skin ever appeared on the planet. He's just saying that it was the first time that white people were mass produced. That's all he's saying.
So there was white people before Yakub made them.
He didn't say that blue eyes didn't exist amongst our people,
but you hear me right.
That light skin didn't exist amongst our people. You know,
so white skin existed before Yakub. I just want to get that right. It existed.
He said light skin existed. Yes.
White skin.
The Khoisan existed before Yakub. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm saying white skin. White skin. A person with white skin, blue eyes, blonde hair existed before 6,000 years ago. Before Yakub, did it? Yes or no?
Yes, I just said yeah. I said light skin. I said light skin existed. I
said white skin, blue eyes, and blonde hair that existed.
And I keep telling you light skin. You keep saying white skin, and I keep saying light skin.
I'm asking you, did white skin exist before Yakub? Yes or no?
No, light skin did. Yeah.
No.
Hold on. He just answered. He said no and light skin. So just understand.
Yes.
He just answered your question 100% via the NOI doctrine. Like so the NOI doctrine, you're going to get black and brown, but you're not going to get white before the Island of Patmos concept.
Okay. Well, Yeshua just said then that white skin existed. White skin existed before 6,000 years. So is the science right or wrong, or is Elijah Muhammad right or wrong?
Well,
because white skin existed before 6,000 years.
What I can say is his numbers were incredibly accurate, and modern science is very close to the numbers that he said for the production of the European. Even if you put it at in between 6,000, 7,000 years, it's extremely close and it's very accurate, as well as the massive back migration from Levant and Arabia into the African interior that he said at 50,000 that we see in modern genetics in between 70 and 40,000. Incredibly accurate.
Okay. So accurate, it just said means whatever I read in this paper, I automatically assume that it lines up with that's what it sounds like.
That's not what I'm saying.
Because I'm not reading this in the paper, bro. I'm not reading it coming from some secret island.
I know you know the punctuated bursts exist. You know, we all know that. You know, brothers pretty much stand on that. You know, my thing is that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, he been taught about a massive back migration from the Arabian Peninsula into the African interior. He called it the Strab of Shabazz. And that's what the e-dispersal is, isn't it? I mean, that's not what it is, but the e-dispersal is a massive migration. It's a back migration from the Arabian Peninsula and the Levant. Am I right or wrong? Isn't it? What is it supposed to be? 70,000 in between 40,000 and 70,000.
70,000 years ago, the E did back migrate according to Vicente Cabrella's work into Africa. No one's disputing that. What's
Jeff
being
Rose? Jeff Rose?
Wait, what?
Jeffrey Rose. Same. He said the same thing.
I got you. I'm not disputing Vicente Cabrente.
But they never. But I bet Elijah Muhammad didn't know anything about haplogroup E though.
No, he didn't. But we're not even saying that. We're trying to see is the concept itself applicable.
The concept.
It's you're shoehorning this, brother. Again, with this article is talking about females, right?
Not me.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with that. You know,
and only one haplogroup at that. Sorry to keep
yeah.
I
was going to go down and read the haplogroup part, the different downstreams of H1, and again, 20% of them are already there. So that's to pretend like we didn't even read this because it didn't even get us nowhere.
No,
it didn't get us nowhere. It did not.
I mean, in your opinion, because you don't rock with it though, but how would his numbers be so accurate or so close that modern genetics would basically say very close to the same numbers? They put it in roughly in between, and you didn't even look at the Australian Center for Genetic Studies places it at the same time depth. You know, it's a lot of corroborating evidence. You know, this is just one. It's just one right here.
All right. So can you tell us just in this paper then? I want to hear again. What do you get out of this paper? I want to make sure I get this right.
I mean the articles. The first one.
No, I mean this one specifically. Like, what do you get out of this specific paper? Not all the other ones you've read.
You talking about the blog?
Yeah, the one that's on screen. Yeah. What do you get out of this from the context of what the paper is saying? Because, from the context of the paper is saying, what do you get out of it?
I mean, I just would say it's a lot of corroborating evidence that puts the modern European around the time frame of 6500. Not just what this one right here, but the Alaka.
No, that's what I'm saying. Only stick to this paper. Don't go to other papers because we haven't read them. Like sticking to this specific paper, what do you understand from it? Like don't bring up the other ones.
I would say the 6500, the date. It's not produced by the farmers. They said that it's not produced by the farmers. It's not produced by the farmers. And
what
then
is
they
not
say
produced
when
by the farmers specifically, what is it?
The shift in population. The shift in population. They said that they couldn't account for it in H. They couldn't account for the shift, the change in the genetic in the genes, that the genes were altered. And that's exactly the circumstance we would see. We wouldn't see a totally new thing, a totally new creature. We would see some altering of already existing genetic material. We wouldn't see, just some radical, some Z marker, Z289. No.
All right, who are these H markers, by the way?
You just said they were. You said that they were Eurasians.
But I'm asking you, like, because I want to know what you get out of the paper. Who are these H markers?
Well, I would say that they were early Eurasians, Afro-Eurasians. If they were older, if they came from the stock that's older than 6500, then they would be early Afro-Eurasians, close to K.
Okay, H and K are not Afro-Eurasians. But when it comes to this paper, it's not even dealing with like 40,000 years ago. It's only dealing with like the mid Neolithic. But so these are females specifically. This paper is only dealing with females migrating into Europe or migrating around Europe. Where in this paper is it saying that these females are coming from? For it to fit the Yaqub story, where are these females coming from, according to the paper?
Yeah, I don't know, brother. Go ahead and read it.
They're coming from other parts of mainland Europe. Okay. They're not coming from the island of Patmos in the Mediterranean. They're already in Europe before 6,000 years ago. And that's why we're kind of having issues with this fitting Yakub's story, because they're already in mainland Europe before Yakub would have even been born.
So when we see these, say like when we see these Europeans that have markers like Rockefellers and what is it, Rothschilds, and they're supposed to have E groups, and they're supposed to have
They
E
have
markers.
J, actually. The Rockefellers are J markers.
Yeah, some of them. Who was it has E? I think it was Einstein or one of them guys.
Yeah, Einstein has it. Yeah, he has it.
Yeah, these when we see radically different E groups than we see from the Afro-Asian stock that we see, which one would you say is the father?
Well, the father doesn't exist anymore. He died like 60,000, 20,000 years ago. I guess you're asking, why do we have white-skinned people with E markers and why do we have black-skinned people with E markers? Is that what you're asking?
No, what I'm asking you is between the two, in your determination, in your common sense, a common sense question, just asking, which one would you say is the originator? Would you say Einstein, a type or a phenotype like Einstein originated that marker, or would you say someone more like an East African Bejar or Ethio-Somali or something like that? What would you say? Einstein is the originator, or the Ethio-Somali Bejar type?
Well, when it comes to all these haplogroups, they started off as dark-skinned
Yes.
peoples.
So how did we get to Einstein?
Well, that's pretty easy to explain. So when it comes to Einstein's haplogroup, he has an E1B1B marker. And when it comes to E1B1B, it was in the Middle East for a very long time, where the light skin allele did originate, not in the Mediterranean, in the Middle East, in pockets of people. And we already had light skinned populations in places like the Levant with the Canaanites. And Einstein's ancestors likely came from the Levant, mixing with light skinned populations in the Levant. And then they would have carried the haplogroup into Europe after probably the Roman conquest of Israel, because a lot of Ashkenazi Jews, which is what Einstein descends from, a lot of them descend from the Roman occupation of Israel, and there was already light-skinned people in the Levant even before the Romans came. But sticking with the Romans,
Afroasiatic or no?
Mm-hmm. What you say, Orthodox Moore?
Did that answer your question or no?
Not so, somewhat, not really, but
Did you explain why Einstein looks the way he looks? Because maybe I went too long.
No,
Einstein looks the way he looks is because he is from a branch of Africans that migrated to Europe. His ancestors, we're talking about his ancestors, and mixed with the people that had lighter skin alleles. That's why. Through admixture. Just like you can have Marcus Garvey be black and have all of the African, quote unquote, Afrocoid features, but descend directly from a European man. He does not look like his ancestor, but through admixture, picking up those different autosomes, you see that different variation.
What was Marcus Garvey's marker?
R1B.
R1B? 269 or?
A descendant of M269. I don't know the exact clade.
But it will go back to Western Europeans. White men.
Well, not all R1B would be white, but yeah.
All R1B would have been white.
No, that's false. R1B is in Fang in West Africa. R1B is off the coast of Lake Chad. P25, V88. That's not Europeans. That predates
RV88 is Eurasian. That's a Eurasian marker.
It's a dark skin Eurasian marker originally. When we look at Fang and when we look at I think we had this conversation before. When we look at Lake Chad.
Look at it wrong. The haplogroups don't have skin colors. Skin colors come from autosomes.
Thank you. I appreciate you for that one, Yeshua.
Looking at it wrong.
Yeah.
Skin color comes from the allele frequency. You get your alleles. It's just like when you used to have the Petri.
Thank you. We got to go there. We got to jump off of mitochondrial, and we got to we got to jump off of autosomes. We got to go straight to alleles right now. That's why I was asking the 600-year conversation.
Let's get to the alleles, because when it comes to the R markers, all the R markers, even the ones in Africa, they're all from Eurasian men. They're not from.
But so that doesn't mean hold on real quick. So Ibri, like R1 doesn't equal white. That's the only.
No, it doesn't.
So you should
no haplogroup. No, all humans on the planet descend, not get put on Patmos and experimented. Right. Descend from the same group of males, and those males were brown. They were relatively brown.
Right. So Ibri, we got to stop trying to shoot everything with the same bullet. Right. We got to get the right weapon for the right.
That's why I use the term Eurasian.
That's why we got to jump off haplogroup. Period, because that's the wrong bullet for the wrong gun for.
Because when it comes to
see, he's breaking up. I knew it.
Breaking down the concept.
Am I breaking up, and he's breaking up?
I mean, every now and then he breaks up a little bit, but
it's me. No, it's me because I'm hearing y'all break up. So it's me.
Oh, okay. I was like, I knew I wasn't tripping.
So let me try it one more time. Like, so this is what I was asking the question about the 600 years in terms of like all the. So again, like I was saying, Ibri, like, so what the concept is with the NOI is that in 600 years we go in 600 years in one location. Okay, 600 years in one location we go from black to brown to red to yellow to white via a breeding process. Nothing crazy. Again. Basically, all they're doing is they're taking lighter babies, and keeping them alive and I'll just say disposing of the darker babies. And so to keep it as PG as I can via the storyline, because there's some specific things that happen. However, so it's a breeding process, right? Like, so do you have any papers breaking down on allelic concept, phenotype concept? To where we get all the phenotypes happening within a 600-year time frame.
No, there's no paper that.
I'm asking my man's. I'm asking Afro. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have no particular papers on that, but I got some papers on the shift in the genetics and the E markers of about 4,000 BC. They place it about 4,000 BC. I don't have them papers open.
And here's why I'm not even tripping on the shift. Like, so again, like, so the haplogroup argument doesn't work for them, and it doesn't work for you, right? Because we're talking about alleles right now, right? And this is like if I'm NOI, I'm looking to prove this one particular concept, because if I prove this one concept, I'm proving the whole thing, right? Like, this is the falsifiable part right here, right? Like, so either the phenotype showed up in 600 years or they didn't, right? We can talk about the time frames is cool. We can talk about mutants. So one of the reasons why you agree why DNA in terms of certain levels doesn't work is because they're going to look at mutations happening at certain points, and that's all they need is the mutation, right? And so this is why I'm saying I need to see the phenotypes happening in 600 years, my G, because that right there is an amazing concept. Like, that's like beyond hypermutation, right? That's like hyper ultra hypermutation rates, right? I've never seen anything talking about mutation rates at that level. And I understand you talk, like, again, the story has to do with controlled breeding practices, right? Hyper controlled breeding practices, right? So but just to be clear, anything that would point towards that potential frequency of mutation rates happening in 600 years.
Selective breeding, yeah.
But do you have anything stipulated on selective breeding could cause, again, because that, so if we're talking about selective breeding in terms of like making like a cocker spaniel or like a Peruvian Pasofino horse or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got you, bro. Like that's what we're talking about. Like, we're making one thing happen, right? That's not the storyline. The storyline is we're making like 4 things happen. We're making permanent brown, permanent red, permanent yellow, permanent white. Like permanent, right? Like, so these should be 4 mutations I should be able to point to happening at a specific time period, right? And they should definitely be happening in a chronological order, right? So I should see the mutation for the white happening at a certain time. I should see the mutation for the yellow happening at a certain time. The mutation for the brown, etc., right? So we see like the LCS genes talking about the pale skin, etc., happening at certain times. Can you point to any of those genes in terms of like the skin type, the skin color, and all this happening with other skin types like yellow, red, anything like that in a similar time fashion?
No, not right now.
Okay, no, that's what's up. Y'all got it. I'm gonna go handle my uncle right quick.
You got anything to shoot? Or are you currently reading the paper right now?
Yeah, I was just reading his paper. This paper ain't got nothing to do with what he was talking about, man. Got nothing to do with the honorable, quote unquote, Elijah Muhammad. Has zero to do with that, man.
All right, so we debunked this paper. Is there anything else?
Just read it right now. In conclusion, the Western European Neolithic and widespread pan-European bell beaker phenomena appear to be important factors in driving the spread of H subhaplogroups through large parts of Western Europe.
See, and we're gonna slow that one down. I think like for these kind of topics, we gotta slow that stuff down to where like so people can understand what is the European bell beaker phenomenon, right? You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that, because just like my man was talking about, like back migration patterns, this, that, and the third. Like, and yeah, we read the paper, so we know this type of stuff, right? We see this stuff happen. Like a lot of average people who are studying stuff, they're studying stuff to confirm biases or to confirm what or just the study topics that they're interested in. They're not going to study broader topics to broaden the scope of the information, just to give some counterfacts potentially, right, or counter arguments potentially, right. Like, so a lot of people don't know about other migrations from other places and whatnot, European migrations, Asian migration. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people in this space, they just focus on what's happening in the Afro-Asiatic culture. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. So the bell beaker, it explains itself in the paper actually, but the bell beaker expansion happens around 2800 BC, and it happens around Southern Europe. That's where you start seeing the bell beaker culture come to prominence, and they spread from south to north. That's a very simple, basic understanding of what the bell beaker culture is. And they're saying that you see these females being associated with this migration of these bell beaker peoples. Hopefully that was informative.
Yeah, but quick question: doesn't the H come in with U6? Does the H come into Africa with U6 into Northern Africa?
You do see H there later,
right?
This paper doesn't touch on Africa, but you see like the U markers would be the early females of Europe, and then you see an influx of H with the farmers, right? And then you see subhaplogroups, meaning newer or younger descendants of those females that would have H, right? Yeah, H1s, H3s, H6s, and so on and so forth.
And I think it's important to illustrate when these markers come into Africa, like mitochondrial U, mitochondrial H, Y-DNA, RV88. These are Eurasians. These are not Africans. These are Eurasians. They're genetically Eurasian, and they're culturally Eurasian, and everything else. These aren't Africans.
But so what you telling me that RV88 RP25 is the same as a 269 phenotypically?
RV88 would have been genetically Eurasian. They possibly could have been white. There's some evidence of white folks in North Africa as far back as the Egyptians. I mean, they depicted the Libyans as white. You can find ancient rock art in the Sahara, the Green Sahara, of white figures, Caucasoid figures. So they could have been. The Negroid phenotype is very recent. The Negroid phenotype is very specific. It's very specific.
The Negroid is recent?
Yeah, the Negroid phenotype is a very specific mix. So I don't think RV88, when it came into Africa, would have looked Negroid. It wouldn't have looked Nigerian.
So the RV88 that's in Lake Chad, that's amongst Fang, that's in Cameroon, you believe that initially those those older RV88s, they're about like 14,000, I believe 14,600 years old. You believe that that's a similar phenotype to the 269 that we find in modern Europe today?
When RV88 entered into Africa, it entered into Africa about 4,000 years ago. Light
No,
skin allele was already in existence.
way
So,
earlier than
wait,
that.
no, the RV88 entered into Africa about 4,000 to 3,000 years ago. And it's known fact that these were Eurasian men. They're genetically Eurasian. And they definitely likely didn't look like a Nigerian when they entered into Africa.
There's two theories on that. The brother's right. There's an older migration theory
Yes,
of 7,000-8,000. And they put the 7,000 to 8,000 because it's before the desertification of the Sahara.
Yeah, they came back in before the desert, but when the Sahara was still green, because it's in the green Sahara genetics paper. It comes back in when it was still
Right,
green.
they were
It's about
still
14,600 when they come back in.
Can y'all do me a favor, just as a stickler on this topic? Like, so can we stop using a phenotype and haplogroup together as if like that's not a misnomer? Because we keep talking like R1B look like this, people look like haplogroup has nothing to do with phenotype, him.
It doesn't.
Right, it doesn't. But I do want to
when you go 10,000, everybody had that. It's common.
Right.
But what I'm saying here is there's two theories. The RVA8 made it into sub-Saharan Africa. No one knows for sure because you don't have ancient DNA to pinpoint this when it happened.
No.
But there's two theories. One that's older than older than the desertification or dislocation of the Sahara.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is that it happened more recently, maybe 3,700 years ago. Those are the two theories that are circling in the scientific community right now.
It's in Oman too, the R1B. They got some R1B in Oman too. That's interesting because it's like really no trail coming through the Arabian Peninsula, and it just pops its surfaces in Oman too.
Right. My whole emphasis is that it was a Eurasian population. It wasn't like they weren't autosomally or genetically African. And still, even with the phenotype thing, I know what you're saying more about the phenotype, but these RV, like the Negroid phenotype, is a very specific thing. So, like,
yeah, they weren't Nigerian looking.
Exactly.
They weren't Nigerian.
Yeah, they weren't. They wouldn't have looked Nigerian.
Yeah, so yeah, they wouldn't have the autosomes and the alleles that would make them look Nigerian. Right?
Yeah, that's all I'm trying to emphasize.
100% agree with that. I just want to make sure people don't confuse that with the haplogroup concept.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But nowadays that they have mixed in, like in Fang and Cameroon, they're indistinguishable.
Yeah,
Basically,
today they look, those
from-
specific RV88s look like any other African. Yeah, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, just like many African Americans look like the people that they mix with. I mean, it's very simple.
Just like when the Moors went into Spain and whatnot, eventually there were some R's that ended up looking that had the North and West African phenotypes as well, right? That's all. Like we're talking about autosomal. I'd make sure that we're talking about people with shacking up, my G. Cool.
Exactly. That's why you have E markers in North Africa looking like Spanish people hating on black people who claim to be North African.
Check this out. If it wasn't for immigrations from Europe, everybody will look like an African or an Indian over here.
Mm.
Because that was the majority.
Yeah.
So you're going to blend and mix with the majority. The reason what preserved quote unquote whiteness, like these eugenists like to say, we were talking about the other day, is because of European immigration.
Right. Yeah, man. Good show, man. Thanks for letting me build on the subject with y'all. I know I gotta get my ducks in a row when I come up here and talk to y'all. I quoted on the humbug though, but respect to y'all, brothers. Peace to y'all.
Hey, real quick before you go, we've never actually had a dialogue on certain aspects of the NOI doctrine before.
Right.
I'm of the contention that the white man is not the devil via the NOI doctrine that Yakub is. Would you agree or disagree with that?
That Yakub is the devil?
Mm-hmm.
No. No, Yakub was just a scientist.
Would you be willing to come back at some point and have a dialogue based upon that?
Yeah, I would. Orthodox born. Yeah,
that's what's up. Appreciate you.
I would. Peace to y'all, brothers. Peace.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
All right, I'm gonna put the link in.
Is somebody taking a bath? Does somebody want to wash themselves from that doctor? Who in there running for?
I had to take a crying game shower right quick. You know what I'm saying, bro? That was some dirty. Have me feeling dirty for a second. No,
I just want to read the information. I don't want to hear all of it. Where's that in the paper, man? And this is why when we make our claims, I try to make people know, like, this is our hypothesis. We're not affirming or saying this is concrete. That'll save y'all, but y'all don't do that. It's always got to be divinely inspired or some shit. God damn it.
Yeah,
anybody else
wants the thing too. I like how Black Tasso was talking about it's a spiritual concept. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a, but they also say so in the NOI literature. It's a spiritual thing. You know what I'm saying? It's a, and it has a spiritual effect. Like it's crazy when you look at the effect of people who actually buy into the skin doctrine. Like what the side effects happen with them. You know what I'm saying? And again, you have to suspend logic at some level to be able to grab to buy into it. You know what I'm saying? Because it does not make logical, equitable sense when you really get into it.
No.
I wanted Avery to go into. We didn't even get to read through this. I wanted to actually read through this, but it went so many different directions. But we're gonna transition from this female argument and then talk about the Yanaya argument, because I think you introduced that. Oh, that will be people from caves. I didn't know the Yanaya. I was gonna touch on what the Yanaya were. And
I can pull up a video of the
Yanaya wasn't white.
Yeah, they were brown. They were dark skin, brown to black. I'm gonna put the link in if anybody else wants to.
Oh, they could be in the end. Like, see, here's the cold part. I feel like I'll actually make better arguments than a lot of NOI people that come up here, because like I've actually tried to debate them. So like I try to like understand their arguments as much as possible, right? Like, and so, like if I was your boy, I'd have been up here talking like, oh yeah, like that migration from 6,500 years ago from Asia, and that could have been like, you know, again in the Yakub story, like they
Can you hear him?
Oh, is my connection going out again?
No, I heard him now.
Did you hear him when he said he stopped at NOI? You didn't?
No, I heard that.
I didn't stop. I kept going.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Yeah. So okay, I'll repeat that part. Like so, I feel like a lot of times I'd make a better NOI debater than a lot of NOI people, because I've tried to study their debate, like their points, and I've read their books, etc. Because I've debated them before, right? And when I debate people, I always try to debate them is like I put my premise out there, and then I debate myself like I'm them in practice form, right? And so, like if I was your boy, I'd have been up to talking like, oh yeah, like in the Yakub story, Yakub is given a group of people to go to the island of Patmos with and whatnot, right? Like so, that group of people, it could have come from anywhere, because like they could have been slaves, they could have been whatever, you know what I'm saying? To where like in Arabia, they're getting slaves from all over the place, you know what I'm saying? Like so, they could have been Eurasian slaves, they could have been whoever, you know what I'm saying? So like seeing the genetic makeup of or autosomes of people from Eurasia, that's not inconsistent with the story, because again, I'm supposed to see people with those autosomes there, because I got black, brown, red, yellow, white, etc. But it's still full of nonsense. I'm just saying, like I'm just saying, like this is why I go straight to the illegal argument, right? Because in studying what they talk about, that's the shortest story to like I don't like to get them to understand they don't know what they're talking about, right? Is because like you got to explain that process, fam. Like selective breeding does not make happen what they say makes happen there. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't make that part happen in 600 years the way they say it.
Yeah, she did say that I forgot the term she used, that he started breeding people, but she showed a Chinese and a Japanese. It just blew my cap off, man. It just blew my cap.
The story stipulates that so long story short, like so Yakub comes to the leaders of the game of his area, and he basically petitions them to be able to be given all kind of science materials and whatnot, and resources and whatnot, to be able to go and people and all that type of stuff, workers, all that type of stuff, be able to go to this island and do these experiments and whatnot, to where he's doing his dial and road thing. And again, so he's taking people, he starts now. He starts out with black people, and again, this is why they can be from wherever, you know what I'm saying, to be black, right? That part doesn't matter, right? He starts with black people, right? And then they have kids, and then whenever they have kids, they take the lighter babies and keep them, and then they'll take the darker babies and they'll feed them to beasts. I don't know if they incinerate them and talk about all kind of stuff, right? But bottom line is they get rid of the darker children and they only keep the lighter children, and so they go from black to brown. And then when they do that, they take, and it's only female nurses, for instance. Like, this is the funny part. There's only female nurses involved in this. There's female nurses in Yakub and whatnot, taking the babies doing this part. But so they go from the black to the brown over a certain portion of time, and then from another portion of time they go from the brown. They keep the lighter babies and whatnot. So like you go from the brown to the red, and they discard the brown babies and whatnot. And then they discard. They go through the same process again to where they discard the yellow babies, or they discard the red babies and keep the yellow babies and whatnot. Until they make that happen, they go from yellow to white and do the same thing, right? So it is like,
so basically
Yakub is the OG eugenicist. You feel me?
Yeah, I was about to say it sounds like eugenics.
No, that's why it says Yakub eugenics on the Ting fan. Like he would, like, it's not like, no, they're literally saying like he's the, like Margaret Sanger was jacking his work. You feel me?
And that's something to be proud of,
bruh. So this is why I asked my G the question via the NOI doctrine and the literature: is Yakub the singular devil, or is it Europeans? Is it the white people? Because via the literature, he is the only singular devil, and they're just his children. They're devils in plural, right? He's the father of the devils. He is the devil himself who taught them the trickery, technology, all that type of stuff. Because so the story goes like this. Like, long story, like, we're gonna have to really get into this, Ibri, because I know this isn't your background and you as well as you, but like, so they don't. He doesn't just make white people. He creates the 10 Commandments. He creates a certain religion for them. He teaches them how to act a certain way. Like, he teaches them how to be devils. You feel what I'm saying? Like, they don't just walk out the womb just knowing how to be. He instructs them how to be devils or whatnot. You feel what I'm saying? But in the literature, he's the only one called the singular devil. And again, this is what I had a debate on with the NOI dude. And that's what we're dealing with. I washed him on the joint. You know what I'm saying? Because like, once you get into the literature, there's no two ways about it. But the books say what they say. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, like, so Yakub, excuse me, had an issue with the current black man. He was trying to perfect them and make a new version of them, right? And so, like you heard in the video, Farad Muhammad is the fruition of that perfection, right? He Farad Muhammad is the perfect black man that they were trying to create, with the straight hair and the light skin and all that. You feel me?
Mm-hmm. I heard
the what you're talking about in terms of like the Negroid phenotype being something that comes around later. That's exactly what they say. They say that one, like, so again, you can literally pull up tapes of Malcolm X talking about like how they went into Africa and made themselves tougher and you know what I'm saying, they got more muscular and more robust, and their hair got kinky and their nose got wider, their lips got thicker, so like, in order to toughen themselves up, like, so they got away from like civilization, and they toughened themselves up, and that's how they evolved from how they ate in the environment. You know what I'm saying? They just got more robust and got thicker lips and wider noses and all that, and kinkier hair and whatnot. This is why, like, so a lot of people don't put the two and two together, but this is why at the top of the NOI, like, you always see like the light skinned person with the straight hair and whatnot. Because they're trying to emulate that perfected black man concept.
Is that why they put crank in their head?
Bruh.
Right.
Bruh. That's why they put the crank in there, bruh. Like, I'm trying to tell you. That's why Khalid had to go, bruh. He did not fit the phenotype mold. You feel me?
I gotta tell these grown ass men. I've been there because I used to teach the Esau shit. I learned my lesson. I learned that the teaching that we taught was this incompatible or irreconcilable any evidence by looking at trying to prove it with a scientific article. That's how I learned that. I was like, wait a minute, this article is saying something completely different than what Black Hebrew Israelites are saying. Started digging. You know,
you know why they'll talk about like, oh, see, like what man was saying, like, oh, see, like modern scientists finally starting to prove out what Farad Muhammad was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like the BHI don't have them kind of like Farad wasn't making like prophecies things. He was talking about like, again, he was talking about numbers and whatnot, right? He went off into like Indian mythology, started like pulling out really big numbers.
BHI do got it because it was used against me in a debate that white people come from Neanderthals. And he went to a scientific article claiming that white skin come from Neanderthals, and that was his proof.
You talking about on Clubhouse? Yeah.
No, I missed that. I missed that one.
Keep going with it.
But no, they don't got it. They don't got it. Like you're saying, there's nothing they can talk about that's proven out in science or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And the same thing with the NOI stuff when you really press it. Like there's certain things that will come out in terms of like your man can talk about general things like back migrations and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Cool, got you. But when we talk about the actual processes thereof, like it's not going to shake out.
Not at all. Not at all, man. We got a lot of work to do.
Yes and no, because like I'm so happy. Like I'm hitting a time period where I got to actually explain the Yakub story to people because I'm actually just knowing that joint, right? Like I love the fact that y'all don't know nothing about the Yakub story, bro. Like that's a good thing. That's probably why y'all can actually like digest the scientific information you do, is because you don't got your head filled with the nonsense. You know what I'm saying? And we're talking to people who got their head filled with the nonsense versus the scientific papers or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to y'all for that.
Yeah, I was taught the Esau thing. That's what I was pushing.
Yeah, the NOI combined the two, bro. Like it's so that's why I was saying they hit the Bible together and the Quran together. You know what I'm saying? They'll literally will hit you with the reign of the Gentiles conversation and whatnot. And
she brought up something made me think of J Electronica, 66 trillion years.
Man. Where do you think J Electronica got it from? Like, so a lot of the hip hop is influenced by the Nation of Gods and NOI, etc. Whatnot. I mean, like a lot of people y'all grew up listening to, fam. A lot of people. Maybe not you, Ibrahim, but a lot of other people.
No, yeah, I used to hear Nas talking about the Nation of Gods and shit like that, Wu-Tang, and you know, I never looked into that stuff myself. I only know what people tell me. Like that's why I was telling you about the pig ears and stuff. And like what Amir said, this is the most famous rendition of this story.
Yeah, and there's literally they literally got their own books on like the making of the devil. Like they got books on all the whole stuff. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, in their most famous joint, like what's that book title called? The Message to the Black Man or whatnot. Like they got a whole chapter on that joint, fam. The making of the devil. No, real talk. Like this is how I won the debate. Like all I did was just read their literature and just word for word. Like so, break down how Yakub ain't the devil. Read the literature word for word. You know what I'm saying? And it's cold, bro. Like because when you see the demonstration, fam, you'll see like there's no way you can't say he is the manifestation of the devil in the NOI story. Like, because without him, there's none of the nonsense. But literally, like it calls him the devil in singular form, and the father of the.
They'll be like, that's because he made himself white.
No, he's a big-headed black scientist that people ridicule and whatnot, and so he's like the hell with y'all.
Yep.
He's a big-headed scientist who's super smart and learns everything that they have to teach him at a young age. And gets ridiculed for some stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm about to take you niggas over.
That sounds like what I was reading in One Piece. Dr. Vegapunk. He got a big. He ate the brain fruit, and his head kept growing and growing and growing and growing to the point where he had to cut it off and put his brain. Yeah.
All right, keep going.
He put his brain in like a device that floats above his island.
What the heck?
And it it's like, and then he cloned himself like 8 times.
Well,
If anybody been following One Piece, that's where we're at in the story.
There's technology in One Piece. I didn't know that.
Well, actually, in One Piece, the technology, like, okay, so in our world, right, in reality, we start off crude and then we lead up to technology, right? We get more advanced over time. In One Piece, the old world was super duper advanced. And then something happened where they started to become crude.
Oh, that's very interesting. I like stories like that. Okay.
Yeah, it's in reverse.
Because I know that One Piece deals with pirates and people on the ocean, like that. So I was like, how's their technology? And this supposed to be like a Pirates of the Caribbean type thing, but okay.
Yeah, because the old world, but that big brain stuff made me think of the brain fruit, make your brain abnormally grow huge. And
so you tell me Yaku ate some of the big brains?
He ate the brain fruit.
I mean, the NOI story kind of do sound like One Piece because apparently it was technology 6,000 years ago. The world was technological.
Yeah, I guess it does go with that story.
Yeah, I mean it do.
Because in order for him to be a scientist and have this technology, I guess they would have been very, very
advanced,
skilled and advanced. Yeah.
He had a whole lab on Patmos Island, bro.
6,600 years ago.
Yeah.
And he teleported those haplogroup H women into the Bell and injected them into the Belbeca culture.
Yeah, like no, the NOI joints we were super advanced as the black race back in the day. You know what I'm saying? That they literally like were placing bombs on the moon and blew up the moon and all parts. Bro.
So they basically made their whole anime. They made their own anime at this point. Bro, why make up this story when you could just make it into a fantasy book, but don't say it's true. Like
they did, nigga. They did.
Well, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that anime.
It's called Message to the Black Man.
Oh, does it got pictures?
No, it's not a graphic novel, bro.
I ain't reading it.
This is like a new experience for me talking to people who don't know about the NOI. That's what's up.
All right, for anybody that's still woke, you know what I'm saying, conscious.
All 7 of us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 7 people in here.
I just wanted to show this. I want to show this earlier too, because it's like these people are. It's just very weird. So this is a genetic probe into the ancient and medieval history of Southern Europe and West Asia. And within this paper, it gives you a skin map of what the people would have looked like. For all these people that think that that white people are like aliens or something, right? No, they descend from darker people. So the further you go back,
the Nordic aliens aren't real, bro.
The Nordic aliens are not real.
How dare you go against my internet more, bro?
So this dates back to 16,000 years. The scale is right. The pink is where you start seeing pale skin. The what we're gonna call this one? Medium brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, the medium brown represents dark skin, and the very dark brown represents dark to black skin.
That's some bad graphics. They could have used darker colors.
And then the tan color represents intermediate. So when you go back in Europe and Western Asia, you go in the Southern Arc, 16,000 years, there were no pale people. 13,000, 12,000, 11,000, 10,000 years, there were no pale people. You don't start seeing pale phenotypes, and they're basing this off of the ancient samples they found, right? You don't start seeing that around until about 9,000 to 8,000 years ago. That's when you start seeing white people. So I guess that's when Yaku did his thing.
Nope. It was 6,000 years ago. It can't be 9,000.
No, he said he came close, so it's accurate.
Yo, that 9, you're looking at that 9 wrong, bro. It's really a 6.
You saying I got dyslexia?
Like the 6 agents we got in the building watching. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the agents in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I'll leave y'all with that, man. I gotta go to bed, bro.
Yeah, we can cut it here.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Wow. Anyway, all people are humans. Nothing exotic happened, man.
You're right, brother. They are humans. They came from us, the original man, the black man.
No, we had some exotic stuff happen, but it wasn't like they're talking about, bro. Like we have interbreedings with Neanderthals and humans and all kind of stuff, like in Denisovans and other.
Yeah, but that's boring to them. When I'm talking about like aliens coming down and manipulating the chromosome.
We need to go straight like I got you. We got to go like Marvel Universe on this.
Yeah, and you know, all these different extrapolations to explain differences in peoples.
Don't you know we have a Nephilim gene though, bro? Don't you know we got alien genetics and whatnot? We got to go. You know what I'm saying?
I was told that we do have a Nephilim gene, and I remember when the Melanesian paper first came out. I talked about this before, right? The Melanesian paper came out. People were saying they were alien because they couldn't identify what those genes were. You know, that was the proof of the Nephilim because they had genes in them that was not human.
Don't you know the Basque language comes from Alpha Centauri? They've never been able to find out where the Basque language comes from. It popped out of nowhere, bro. Like aliens and whatnot. Didn't you see the painting that Da Vinci did with the UFO in the background?
Oh man.
You can't listen to it. You're trying to stop the faking it, bro.
Dealing with these communities, man, it just reminded me what Jay Electronica said. But he was talking about poverty, right? When he said, my grandmother don't want to lead the fucking projects. I got to raise the slum up. You know, that's how it is in this community. Like these people don't want to lead these ideologies, and kind of raise the thinking of these people within these ideologies. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's Avery's job, though. I ain't gonna. I already got gray in my beard, so I'm gonna let Avery do that, man.
Meanwhile, Avery's gonna be looking for an Israeli wife and whatnot. So,
no, I like myself black women, bro.
I say the Israeli. I can say nothing about what's up with you, like in a confusing phenotype tonight, bro.
I ain't confusing phenotype. What you talking about?
There's not black Israelis.
No, I said I'm not confusing phenotype. I didn't say nothing about black Israelis.
I just said Israeli. You said no. See, I want a black one. See, bro, you saying there's no black Israelis, whatnot? You know what I'm saying? Like earlier, it's all about phenotype, and then R1B, like you know what I'm saying? Haplogroups got phenotypes doing and whatnot.
I mean, to be fair though, them R1, them RBA did not look Nigerian,
bro. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I know circles you come from, bro. That BHI coming out of you, bro.
Nah. RV88 Eurasian.
That's why I kept saying everybody.
I said something about the Fulani being as yellow as Big Bird, you know what I'm saying, with curls and whatnot. He started tripping out, you know what I'm saying? I see you, Bree.
That's what I was trying to tell Asiatic Lion, man. Like, listen, bro. Everybody would have been dark skinned during that time. It don't mean nothing. You're not telling me nothing. It's not,
that proves, brother, that they came from us, the original man. They black.
But that's the whole point. So they're gonna they're making the similar argument that like Taylor and wouldn't make any sense. Like, so if we start off black, why do we change? What's the point of the change? Why would God make there a change? What was the change if God started us off one way, right?
That's why I was explaining the whole phenotype thing because he used the term like Afro-Asian and stuff like that,
right? And
so that's what I want to get them to understand is that, you know, when it comes to these RV88s, they're not going to look Kenyan. They're not going to look Nigerian when they come in. They're going to be Eurasian people, especially if they're coming in 3,000 years ago. They're likely going to have light skin.
Yeah, you cleaned it up. You stopped signing BHI on, fan. I got you.
Wait, who came in 3,000 years ago?
Possibly RV88 if you go with that paper. That one.
Oh yeah. They probably had light skin variations. If they came in there in that time, yeah.
I mean, we even see the Egyptians depict North Africans with light skin.
Yeah, the Tamahu.
Yeah.
Which Jabari says is Europeans.
Shout out to Libyans and whatnot.
He said Tamhu mean Europeans. Y'all
It
trying
means European.
like it just mean European in general, white American, whatever.
Tamil was the white people, and they're in Egyptian. That's what he's saying.
Wait, what?
He's saying Tamil means like white people in Egyptian.
Mm.
Don't you say they got blonde hair and they wear the blue paint like the Celtic people, bro?
All Avery could say was
There's no words.
That's all you can say because you try to argue this shit and they just make more bullshit up. It's like
he went full of booty. He went straight Alonzo on it.
Ain't nothing for me to say.
Shout out to Alonzo. Matter of fact, hold on. Just because he went full Alonzo on it.
the only thing that this night didn't have was Darvis.
Yeah, I was surprised about that.
See, you didn't say it. He gonna pop up right now because you said something, bro.
Hey, y'all got control of the StreamYard. I'm just gonna go quiet. And you know what that means. I'm asleep.
It's gonna be super pseudo after this.
Y'all gonna see my icon up here with the little with the mute sign on
With disease coming out that joint.
it.
Yeah, we can end it here.
Yo, no, Avery.
What?
Why you want to end it now?
Nah, because
I want to bring out one more article. Give Darvis enough time to come in here.
man, he's probably somewhere drinking.
Motherfucking lie.
Somebody tell his cheerleaders to get off yo dick, because they gonna hype every single bar that this nigga go spit. He can say something that doesn't make no sense, like bibbity bobbity boo. They gonna be like, oh shit.
Skin Doctor, Bibbidi Bob Boo scholarship for him.
Bibbidi bobbity boo. Shout out to Adam in the chat. He was trying to let him know Haplogroup A has been in Europe for a long time, and he's a descendant of Haplogroup. I mean, excuse me, I said A. Haplogroup I has been in Europe for a long time, and that brother is a descendant of Haplogroup I. Shout out to my brother, man.
Yeah, I saw Devin there, Adam.
Yeah.
I told him to come on stage.
Nah, he didn't want to deal with it.
Because then he'll be talking to an actual white man.
Hey, here's a good article you guys can. I thought we were going to deal with this today, but anyway.
Wait, what article? Because I don't.
How the Europeans evolved white skin. Because that's what we're arguing.
Yeah, that's
The NOI says Yakub did it.
That you know of, brother.
Nephilim did it, or Esau, or some mixture of the two.
Aliens. Man, there was a lot of theories we got for
this was a natural process that took place.
For all this crazy mixture of like aliens and Neanderthals, like how the hell can we interbreed with white people, bro? Like, shouldn't we have like non-viable offspring?
They would say they would use the negative blood type argument.
Some of them do say that. They say mixed kids come out messed up, or or you shouldn't have mixed kids because genetically they have all these disorders and defaults and stuff. So some people do try to say that. For both
all right, Marcus Garvey.
Whoa. Genetic diversity. Whoa, what did you just say? Genetic diversity causes issues?
Yeah, that's what some black supremacists and white.
So doesn't genetics stipulate if I'm gonna look for like the genetic issues, and when I gotta look for people who like isolate themselves and don't have genetic diversity,
they become sterile.
Okay, so let's say I take this whole like black thing to its logical end. Like I only deal with my own black people. What happens over time?
You get a lot of you actually get mutations at that point.
Wow. So
there's
you get deleterious mutations.
Deleterious mutations. That's the one right there, fam. It gets bad is what they talking about.
Yeah, the incest breeding.
Yeah.
They have some weird looking
Yeah. This is where you start getting, man. This is where you start having kids that have like octopus legs and whatnot.
And
Shit, you think I'm joking?
The bottom.
Go to India right now. They got little kids with octopus legs as a sideshow joint on the street, just making money with it. Bro, kids want, man.
They ain't shit for that.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah, that's probably from interbreeding too much.
It 100%, right? So again, we go with the modern Jewish populations, right? They got the most genetic neurological disorders amongst anybody per capita because of their inbreeding, because of the fact that they had selective breeding. And again, what do we see in the Bible? Did Israel cut itself off from all nations? No, bro. It's all kind of genetic diversity in Israel, bro.
Facts.
It's all kind of genetic diversity, bro. Just go from the tribe of Judah, bro. Just that one tribe. Just that one tribe in the scrolls, but it's all kind of diversity, bro.
I think that's why the Exodus was so pivotal. What you say? You shoot.
That's also why it's important that humans expand and not stay in one area too.
Man, that part right there, my G.
And that's why I think. My bad. Go ahead.
No, you got it. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say that's why I think the Exodus story is so pivotal, because I think the Most High knew, you only have 70 people, Joseph and his family. And eventually you're going to get into some interbreeding. So having them be in Egypt for all those years, mixing with Nile Valley Africans and other Asiatics and Mediterranean peoples, is definitely going to make the gene pool bigger, so you don't have a bunch of inbred Israelites. And next thing you know, the story does say that by the time of the Exodus, you had hundreds of thousands of people leaving Egypt, and even a mixed multitude of who would have consisted of pure blood, Egyptians and Nubians and Asiatics and stuff like that. So they would have had a massive genetic diversity from the beginning, the inception of the nation, where you're not going to have inbreds unless a particular Israelite family just decides to have their son marry their daughter, which would be weird, but it'll be against the law anyways, actually.
Abraham married his sister. That's what they're going to tell you.
Well, I'll be like, that was his stepsister.
Yeah, that's what I never seen any indication that was his bloodline sister.
No, well, they did share the same father, but they had different mothers.
Oh, so they wouldn't have been 50% relatives anyway.
I mean, they were step brother and sister.
No, they wouldn't be 50%. The way,
yeah, you're right. They would have been. They would have been 25%. Yeah.
Yeah, they would. I guess that's one way of looking at it. It's still weird.
Yeah, but that was before the law, though, so it was apparently okay, I guess.
Oh, you finna go on your Berean spiel?
Nah, bro. No, all that stuff was okay, bro, before the law, because who else would you marry?
Why would we say it's okay? I wouldn't even just say it's okay. I would just say that's something they chose to do.
The reason I would say it's okay is because after the flood, like, who are you going to be marrying other than relatives?
Yeah, your cousins.
Yeah.
So Ibri, in Genesis 26:5, it says that Abraham kept the Torah, that he kept the Most High's law, statutes, and commandments, right?
The ones that existed in that time, yeah.
Well, okay, what was the Torah in that time?
Well, in that time, we know that there was sacrifices, because the Most High told Adam and Eve to sacrifice. Noah sacrificed after the flood, so he didn't have sacrifices checked. Then the Most High created circumcision, starting with Abraham. So that's a new thing that's added in, because there was no circumcision before Abraham. So those are the type of laws he would have kept: animal sacrifice and circumcision.
Berean said something. Berean, and who's the other dude he be with?
In the Noahide laws. I'll add that as well. No,
they was like, oh, when they say laws here, it's not talking about the same thing. And I agree with them to an extent, but there had to be some kind of common law that was understood.
The Noahide, because God gave Noah.
But part of the Noahide part, what scripture you go to, is part of the Noahide, like they deal with the sexual immorality part, right? Like, so this is why. Well, I'll leave that part alone. But there's different conversations about the curse of Cain and Ham, etc., whatnot, that involve that. I don't necessarily agree with those arguments, whatnot. However, so you're talking about like sacrificial animals, clean animals. So they talk about clean, unclean animals, and whatnot. They talk about all, like, so a lot of people will make that argument. So we'll see the whole law goes back to that, because you can see it being talked about back in Noah's. Like, how did Noah know what the clean animals were and all that kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
that goes back to Adam and Eve, though, because they knew about clean and unclean animals, because when the animals were brought on the ark, he told like 7 of clean and like 2 of unclean, something
so,
like that.
Right. So so the question is, when were they taught about it? You're saying like they knew about it, like so.
In between the time of Adam,
right?
In between the time of Adam and Noah, been somewhere in between that period. Because when the first animal sacrifice was a lamb, when God killed that lamb in the garden to clothe Adam and Eve, that was the very first like animal sacrifice. Was God?
Does it say lamb?
Huh?
Does it actually say lamb?
I think it does. I'm believing it does. I have to pull up.
I gotta look at. I don't recall it saying lamb.
Let me.
Well, you're good. But I'm saying so a lot. So you're making the assumption, right? You're making the argument from silence, like it has to happen from that. Like so. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of people who take that argument and stipulate that all the laws of Moses would have applied. Like so when it says in Genesis 26:5, like so again, Abraham kept circumcision, right? Where
when it was created, yeah.
So right,
circumcision was not created with Abraham.
Yeah, it was. That's the first time we hear, that's the first time we hear of the particular type of circumcision that God created, which was 8th-day circumcision. That particular style.
Why can't it just be framed as Abraham was told to be circumcised? Not that it was created.
Because we're still trying to get the BHI off your boy Ebri. You know what I'm saying? Like,
nah.
Circumcision is an Afro-Asiatic thing, man. It's like that's Afro-Asiatic culture.
Yeah, but 8th day is a very specific thing that God gave unto Abraham. Like
I will lower my handicap and give you that.
Okay.
I will lower my handicap, raise yours, and say that right there is distinct. But the simple act of circumcision is older than Abraham.
Okay, I'll give you that. I won't argue that. It's probably older. I would say it's older.
He said probably.
Just like
no, I said I'll give him that. It could be older.
Hey, I'm proud of you, that's a little bit less BHI you got on you right now. You know what I'm saying? Just 6 more times. 6 more times in Jordan, you'll be okay, bro.
The ark is older than the concept of having an ark is older than Moses.
You're talking about the ark of the ark that the Israelites have, or Noah's ark?
The ark of the covenant, not
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I was about to say like what?
These things are similar because all these groups share the same, well, not the same exact thing, but a similar cultural backdrop. Because again, they're Afro-Asiatic peoples.
Yeah. Although, yeah.
No, but back to what Berean was saying, it's like it's a crazy argument. It's like, why can't people just phrase the arguments different? That's my thing. Because no one has time machine. We don't know what really happened, right? We can just use our brain power and try to, piece together what we do have to make a narrative, right? Mm-hmm. But it's never framed in that manner. It's always framed that absolutely this is what happened.
Because we got to be special at some point, right? There's got to be some fantastical thing that makes us special, and this all goes back to slavery, right? In the sense where like people are trying to justify a horrific event, like, oh, this only could have happened because God ordained it to happen because we needed to be all like, bro, no, like everybody goes through slavery, fam, and God never was like, you know what, I want mankind to go through slavery. He was like this is why it says like in the Old Testament, like stuff like the Most High regretted making man, in a sense, right? Because like, yo, there's a thing where it's like when like with people with kids and whatnot, you love your kids, right? But like when they do something that's horrible, we like, damn. Like, so like I got a brother who went to jail for manslaughter, right? Killed his best friend with a baseball bat. Like my parents were not proud of that. You feel me?
Right.
Like it's the same concept here. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not. God didn't create us to enslave people. You know what I'm saying? But that's something we choose to do, right? He created us. We choose it. He created us and gave us choice. We choose to enslave people, right? Trying to make it make sense with some crazy nonsense. Like, bro, this is how you know that we have psychological issues and we have actual legit like trauma that we need to heal from as a community. You know what I'm saying? Because like we just keep reinforcing the trauma. And that's the trauma is like literally the backbone of the majority of like the Darby doctrine.
It is. And you have to be like, I'm oppressed, I'm a slave. You're not a slave, man. Motherfuckers making all type of money off of YouTube. But no, to get it on another doctrine, the Sabbath is Sunday. It's in the same vein. God ordained Sunday. God did this, that, and the third. That comes from just not being honest with what we have, with the data we have. That's all that comes from. The Sabbath is not Sunday. There's no historical record of that. You know, from a scriptural standpoint. And you start going to the early the Catholic Church and stuff like that, it's another story. But if you look at the scriptures, the Sabbath is not on what we call Sunday. You know. Matter of fact, let me see if I go to that scripture real quick. You know what scripture I'm talking about? You read the Lord's Day. They'll say, "Oh, see, that's the Sabbath."
No.
In the book of Acts. See, them brothers don't even deal with the Bible. They don't even know what the scriptures is. Let's see.
All right. It may not have been a lamb that he killed. It was some type of animal.
That's growth, Bree. I'm proud of you, bro.
Wait, what?
I said that's growth, Bree. I'm proud of you, bro.
Oh my god.
I just messing with
Hey,
you.
real quick. Acts 20.
It was in Genesis 3. What was this?
Yeah, so when you read Acts 27, NLT.
It may be Jewish traditions that it might be a lamb.
This shows you, like, when you read this narrative, you got to put yourself in that time. You got to put yourself in that culture to understand these things, right? So Acts 20
No, I'm
verse.
supposed to read the King James English.
I don't like reading the King James. But it says here, on the first day of the week, we gathered with the local believers to share the Lord's Supper. Paul was preaching to them, and since he was leaving the next day, he kept talking until midnight. So in Hebraic culture, this first day of the week would start when, Ivry?
Hold on, let me see. It says on the first day of the week we gathered with
Sunday.
Local believers to share the supper of the Lord. You was asking me what day?
The first day of the week in Jewish culture, Sunday.
Oh.
When does the day begin?
Oh, the day begins in the previous evening, I believe.
Yes, this is Saturday night. When you look at it through the cultural lens, this will be Saturday night. And if you keep reading, you know it's nighttime. If you keep reading the rest of the verse, this is nighttime. This is happening after the sunset. Look, on the first day of the week, we gathered with the local believers to share the Lord's Supper. Paul was preaching to them, and since he was leaving the next day, he kept talking until midnight. So if you look at this through the cultural lens, this is talking about Saturday night. This is when they met.
Facts.
That's why I think this is when old boy fell asleep while he was talking. They've been there all damn night. You know.
Sipping on that good wine.
Sipping on that good wine. Let me see if I find my Bible to find the other one in Acts. But that has been remixed to mean Sunday morning church service. What the hell?
But really, we're supposed to be having service on Saturday nights.
There's no command on that, but that's what they're deriving from.
Let no man rule you in your order of Sabbath and all them other kind of things.
Yeah, I'm not arguing about none of that. I'm just saying from the perception.
I got you.
Yeah. So we're going to ask. me see if I go to Acts and find the other one. It's been a while. So I looked at these scriptures. See, that brother got the devil on him. He ain't even read Acts. There's another one that talks about a date. Let's see if I can find it. I think when he was going to get judged. I can't ask Paul. I can't ask Avery. He a heathen.
Oh, heathen.
He don't read the Bible.
No. Oh, he read science papers.
Shout out Rue. Shout out to Rue. He said this is speaking of how excuse me if I'm butchering that. How in the King's Meal, historically Jews would stay up all night talking scriptures. Right.
Hold on, Rue. So you saying Havdalah, you know what I'm saying, in Shabbat and all that, you know what I'm saying, in the Sunday services all go together, Rue? You telling me like, so if I get together with some Christians and I start breaking the bread, you know what I'm saying, and sipping on some wine or whatnot on the Sunday doing the community and whatnot, and you talking about Havdalah and the King's, what you saying to me, Rue? What you saying to me, Rue? You think they go together? I can't have you up in here being some kind of rabbinic agent, you know what I'm saying, Rue? Shout out to the Balkan Bully in the building.
My brother say he said facts. But he an agent anyway. No, let's say.
A lot of Christians, but while I don't they actually knew the Jews did that on the regular, like broke up the bread and the wine.
Yeah, that all them concepts, baptism, all that stuff is like Old Testament. Like
right.
They've been doing stuff like that. But I was reading one of the early fathers. They were having a dispute where they wanted to separate themselves from the Jews. I think it's Tryphon. I'm going off memory. I think it's Tryphon and versus somebody. Let's look at it. But there's a scripture in Acts where he's going to go get judged, and it tells you how he was going by the dates. I think it says something about the 14th, and it tells you that it became the 14th that night. Let me find it. Acts. And we lost Avery.
My bad. Did you say? What'd you say?
So we lost Avery.
He had to go read the Bible.
No, I'm here.
He had to go catch up on his Bible reading.
Did you need something?
Acts 27 verse 27. Here it is here. You know, a lot of people just looking at it from a modern lens and not even taking themselves back to that time and taking themselves into the Jewish cultural lens.
Bro, just follow the church fathers. Forget all that Jewish stuff.
See right here where it says about midnight on the 14th night of the storm, as we were being driven across the sea of Adria, the sailors sensed the land was near. So when you go, where's the Acts 27?
Judaizer.
I'm a Judaizer.
Oh, that's beef right there. That's beef right there. Yeah, I was about to pound the table right quick.
Brian hasn't been live lately, has he? I don't know.
Not in the past couple of days, I don't think.
You know, I only know he be live because of y'all, man. I'm like, oh, okay. He said what now?
That's beef right there.
He said we were right again.
Yeah, so the 27th verse says it's the 14th night, right? And then when you go to verse 33, forgive me, y'all. This has been a while since I looked at this, so I'm rusty on this part right here. I ain't trying to hit y'all with no bibbity bobbity boo doctrine, right? So it says here about the midnight About midnight on the 14th night of the storm, as we were being driven across the Sea of Adria, the sailors sensed land was near. Then when you go to verse 33, down here, just as day was dawning, all urged everyone to eat. You have been so worried that you haven't touched food for 2 weeks, he said. He says, please eat something now for your own good, for not a hair of your heads will perish. He took some bread and gave thanks before them all, broke a piece and ate it. Oh, hold on. I thought it was verse 33. Oh, so this doesn't say the same thing here. It doesn't say this was the 14th day. It just says day is done. NLT says that. Hold on. Let me see. Go to my GNT. Oh, the Hebrew Israelites is right. I can't use the damn NLT.
See, I told you, you got to read that King James English, bro. Read.
Let me see what the GNT says. Oh, right there. It was the 14th night. It just says, oh, there it is, 14 days. You have been waiting for 14 days now. All this time, you have not eaten a thing. So he still considered that a day. So the night and the day being one day. That's how I interpret it anyway. But if it was going off of how we count now, we would start the day at midnight. The day would have started over.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm making sense to somebody out there. Anyway, I'm out of here, y'all. I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed, man.
All right, we
Get Babu.
hit the 3-hour mark. Went as long as the Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to go this damn long. I'll tell you that. I gotta go work in the morning.
Yeah.
Smooth was good, baby.
Right. I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't want you now. Make the crowd scream and I'm on gas. I bitch you ready, red, bro, you down. He was supposed to be with Sister Matthews, he's a 9. How you let the stinks take your pieces from me? Turn a nigga head into a Reese's cup. You wasn't on the main line, you was PC'd up. We got Draco in the building, turn to Stevie Wonder. Now we back to the punchlines. I'm finna do a nigga sleazy like that one time. I got a free bus pass, he on that one line. I tell my wrist handicap like that blind nigga. I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. Man, I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. For real. Suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it.
I'm a big dog, I don't conversate with poodles. I make street music you can commit violent crimes too. If we beefing, I use chunks from your noodles to make spaghetti. Throwing house party when you hear them pop shots, it's not confetti. That shit under meniscus, I can eyeball it, no fatty. For a nickel, my shooter ain't a nigga world Armageddon. I want more chains to whip like my shit ain't broke already. And I don't wanna hit that crystal cause I'm dope already. Things came to take the rack, ain't over and I hope y'all ready. Bitch act stupid, I fuck your mama, bitch, you know I'm petty. Nigga think he fucking with me, must be blowed off fatty. This exotic stinky buzz, we don't smoke that Reggie.
I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs. I'm a big dog, I don't come with several losers. Get these niggas on my comments before I shoot them. I got suicidal thoughts in the night, don't make me lose it. The only thing could get some time from me is OGs.